night in the SEC. Starkville, Mississippi is ringing in conference play as the Mississippi State Bulldogs arrive brimming with confidence, and Auburn comes rolling in, trying to get a much-needed road victory to cement themselves as a season-long contender in the SEC West. This place is full, it's electric, it is about to start rocking when the Dogs hit the field. You hear the cowbells? Legal in a stadium for an SEC game for the first time in 36 years, but they're not supposed to ring them during the play. We'll see how that goes. Glad to have you along on a Thursday night in the SEC. Reese Davis, Craig James, and Jesse Palmer. Jen Brown will join us in just a little bit. Guys, you know what's at stake tangibly here. It's first place in the SEC West, the first conference game of the year. There's something a little more intangible at stake for both teams, trying to get off to a good start. Mississippi State, a brutal road schedule coming up at LSU, at Florida, at Alabama. They want to win this one to jump to a good start. Auburn, meanwhile, needs the road win, and they're pinning their SEC West hopes on Cameron Newton.
I can't wait to see the guy play on the road in an SEC game. 3 springs ago, I sat in a meeting when he played at Florida with Dan Mullins, Tim Tebow, John Brantley. Then he went and played JC ball. Now all of a sudden he's playing against Dan Mullins on the road. So he's got great ability. I saw him in the spring at Auburn this year, and the guy athletically in person looks the part. He's Superman. Does he play like James?
Well, he looks like a physical specimen, no question about it. 6'6", 250 pounds, and Cameron Newton is a true dual threat at quarterback. He ran for 171 yards last week against Memphis, also threw 3 touchdown passes. It appears as though Cam Newton is the perfect weapon in Gus Malzahn up-tempo offense. No question about it, guys. He poses serious problems for the opposing defense.
So Mississippi State's going to try to limit the number of one-on-one opportunities Newton has against them, and that young secondary Mississippi State, can they come together and bring pressure on the outside?
If there is one word to describe the Bulldogs defense, it is exactly that. It's pressure. Exotic blitzes. They line up in unorthodox places. They're going to try to confuse Cam Newton tonight.
Well, you know, Cam Newton is going to have to face that Mississippi State defense, but there was a thought for quite a while that Cam Newton would be piloting the Bulldog offense. This is a picture of Newton on a recruiting visit here to Starkville last year, in which he had a cowbell, but it was Gene Chizik who won the Cameron Newton recruiting sweepstakes. He's standing by with Jen Brown.
Thanks, guys. Coach, you're on the road for this SEC opener. What are you looking for in your offense and Cam Newton tonight?
Well, Cam's just got to manage our offense. He's going to have to do this on the road in this league every week. He just got to play his game. Don't feel like he has to force plays in there. Manage our offense. That's it.
On the other side of the ball, Mississippi State runs a 2-quarterback offense. What are you most concerned about in their offense?
Well, they're both really good quarterbacks, kind of different in their own way. So we just got to be prepared and focused in on the 2 different types of offense that they have when they're in there. Ought to be a fun game, though.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Good luck tonight. Thank you. Guys?
All right, Jen, and the Dogs have been let out, and they're dancing for Dan Mullen, who's in his 2nd season as the head coach here in Starkville. A 6-7 record after the season-opening victory against Memphis last week. Auburn took care of Arkansas State, but tonight the thing ramps up for real. SEC play, the first conference game on a warm and somewhat humid night in Starkville. Temperature right now still hovering close to 90. The humidity at 49%. But the fans in this stadium, over 55,000 of them, don't care. The SEC play is underway. Damon Washington returning for Auburn. Washington a little crease, and he gets up close to the 32-yard line. Sean Broccoli, the kicker, there to make the tackle. 31 yards on the return, right on Washington's average from a year ago. The Tiger offense will be led by Cam Newton.
Well, after a monster Week 1 performance against Memphis, Cam Newton has the bullseye squarely on his chest tonight. Mississippi State is going to try to pressure him. They're going to try to use a spy on him at certain times. But, Craig, they have to try to find a way to contain him tonight.
Yeah, if you do too much containing, that gives him time to throw the ball. He has an accurate arm, so it's going to be a toss-up between containment and pressure.
Mario Fannin at running back. Newton's first pass is complete. Terrell Zachary on the grab. Zachary has outstanding speed, and he gets a first down. Here are the starting lineups. First for the Auburn offense, Cameron Newton, the quarterback you've seen. They will run a lot of guys in the backfield, including Michael Dyer, the freshman that you'll see later. Zachary already has a catch. Cody Burns, the former quarterback, is out there. In this offensive line, 114 combined starts coming into this one. Newton on the run. The big fella gets up to midfield before he's dropped. Charles Mitchell making the stop for the Dogs. Here's the starting lineup on defense for Mississippi State. Pernell McPhee is the guy the defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz, will move around on the line of scrimmage. A good pass rusher. The linebackers strong. Chris White, the leader back there, along with KJ Wright, and the defensive backs very good at intercepting passes. Zachary again on the quick catch. Zachary will be stopped just short of the first down. Looks as if he'll be about a yard short. Chris White making the stop.
We've talked about the speed and the pace of offenses in college football and how they have changed. Auburn goes as fast as anybody in college football, so it's going to put a lot of pressure on that defense tonight.
Newton under center. Smith gets the carry, a rare one, and he got nothing. So early on, State territory, fourth down.
This is what 300 pounds will do for you on the inside. Defensive tackles, you go in there with Cox and Boyd, get penetration.
And what a play for Mississippi State. Remember, the strongest position for Auburn as a team is probably up front on the offensive line. So that is a statement by this Mississippi State defense early.
Chiswick, no doubt. Newton under center. Gonna go for the big one on fourth and short. Newton makes a play with his feet and picks up the first down, and there is the danger of Cameron Newton.
For a guy that is 6'6", 250 pounds, it is just remarkable how athletic he is. Watch him here in the pocket. He wants to throw a flat route to his fullback back out left. It's not there, but the beauty of having a mobile quarterback, he'll go move the sticks for you, Craig.
Mario Fannin, his first carry of the night. Fannin is stacked up at about the 37. Chris White again on the stop for the Dogs.
You guys saw that last play. Part of what happened there on defense was Pernell McPhee got way up the field. He lost that containment edge that we're talking about. So on a fourth and short, the discipline, regardless of the play, you've got to stay around to keep him inside the football field.
Fannin in the backfield. Mario has it again, avoids one tackler. White's back there, and Fannin will be knocked down for a loss. Chris White is everywhere in the early going for Manny Diaz's defense. Lost a pair.
Chris White, a guy who last year played outside linebacker, had to move over this season. Just a nice job scraping down the line of scrimmage, cutting Mario Fannin off, and a nice job wrapping up to allow the game tackle to come.
3rd and 8. Showing blitz, here they come. A quick completion. Open field, Emory Blake. Tigers have the first score. 39 yards, Cameron Newton. His 4th touchdown pass of the season. Emory Blake, the sophomore from Austin, Texas, and the son of former quarterback Jeff Blake, making a play in the early going, and less than 4 minutes into the game, the Tigers are on top.
I'd credit wide receiver Terrell Zachary for opening this up. Look at the block at the top of the screen. He's able to chop the corner, and that allows Blake the alley for the easy walk-in touchdown.
Wes Byram knocks through the extra point. Newton 3 for 3, 56 yards on the drive, including the 39-yard scoring pass to Blake. And just like that, Auburn's offense is struck. Kent State answer. You'll see when you come back. drive by Auburn standards took 3 minutes 38 seconds to put the first touchdown of the night on the board.
This is a perfect play drawn up by Gus Malzahn on that scoring play. They had pressure coming from Mississippi State inside, and that man's Nico Whitley at safety one-on-one with the inside receiver, Emery Blake. Cameron Newton does a great job getting the football out of his hands quickly. That's too far of a distance for Nico Whitley to run. That's a walk-in touchdown.
And I give great credit to Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator. He knows what Camp can handle out there, right? So when he sees the pressure coming from the inside, Newton has been coached up. They went into it 2 different times in that particular series. Newton wasn't confused or faced by it one bit.
There is Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator, who routinely has put 500 yards of offense up for the Tigers. Wes Byram kicking it away. Leon Berry returning. Berry will be stopped short of the 30-yard line. It is Monster Saturday as ESPN delivers 2 top-notch, tradition-laden college football games. At 3:30, Ja'Cory Harris leads Miami against Terrell Pryor and second-ranked Ohio State. Then join Kirk Herbstreit, Brent Musburger at 7 o'clock for the big-time coaching matchup. Joe Paterno, Nick Saban, Penn State, and Alabama. College football on ESPN Saturday, also available online on your phone. The Miami-Ohio State game.
10-yard penalty, first down.
Available in 3D. Had a penalty on the kickoff return, so Mississippi State will be backed up inside its own 20. They'll start the possession from their 18-yard line. Holding call going against Chris Cameron, so Chris Ralph will come out to start for Dan Mullen's team at quarterback. First pass, Ralph hits Bumpus right in the hands, and Chad can't hold it. The sophomore from Tupelo, who had a big night in the opener against Memphis. Here's the starting lineup for the Bulldogs. You've already seen Chris Ralph, the junior from Montgomery, which is just a little less than an hour from Auburn's campus. Bumpus, a big play guy, despite the drop we saw in the early going. Arcito Clark, the other receiver. And like Auburn, Mississippi State, a veteran offensive line, 89 combined starts. Bumpus handling it well on the handoff, and he gets close to the first down before he's run out of bounds. The defense for the Tigers, and it has been problematic. Ted Roof's bunch gave up a school record 358 points last year. Antoine Carter is the leader up front. And they gave up over 300 yards passing to Arkansas State a week ago. El Toro Freeman gets the start at linebacker. He was a highly touted recruit. Zach Etheridge back from a serious neck injury. Aaron Savage, a 6th-year player in the secondary for Chisholm. 3rd and 4. Good catch by Bumpus, looking for a little room, and Chad will make up for the earlier drop before Nico Thorpe runs him out of bounds. A pickup of 6 and the first down for State.
Les Canning, the offensive coordinator at Mississippi State, knows he's got some players on the outside, especially Bumpus, who can get with linebackers and safeties, and it's a big mismatch. Get the ball in his hands.
You know, Craig, I love the play calling on both sides so far, allowing the quarterback short, easy completions to try to get them in the rhythm of this football game.
Ralph on first down, the option. The big fella has some running room, and Chris Ralph rumbling for another first down. A pickup of 12 before Aaron Savage stops it.
Don't let Chris Ralph's size fool you. He's 6'4", 240 pounds, but he can do this. They're going to see a lot of triple option tonight. He feels very, very comfortable running these plays in this offense.
And Mississippi State will be patient. You'll see a lot of guard tackles pulling, fullback guards pulling, counters, options, and then all of a sudden play action, and they're down the field.
Ralph had 131 yards rushing in the victory over Ole Miss last year. This time showing off the arm. He had to get rid of it just before he was cut in half by Josh Bynes. Chris Smith with the catch. Ralph stood in there beautifully and delivered the football, a pickup of 17.
Big question coming in this game, who's the real offense? Is it Auburn or Mississippi State? I think you're seeing right here the discipline and play calling of Mississippi State's good.
And it was a nice job by Ralph staying in there, delivering the football before he gets lit up by middle linebacker Josh Bynes. Nice job by Ralph.
On first down, The give is to Robert Elliott into the game. Elliott coming back from a variety of injuries during his career. The junior from Oklahoma, stopped by Josh Evans.
And this Mississippi State offense is night and day different than it was a year ago. Last year, they led the SEC in rushing, but they were 8th worst in the country throwing the football. This season, totally different. They can throw it. They are truly balanced on offense.
2nd down and 8. Ralph had a little trouble with the snap, and now he's got trouble with the Auburn defense. Zach Clayton was in his face. It'll be 3rd and behind the chains for the Bulldogs.
Well, I think a lot of the reason that Mississippi State's going to be better offensively is because the players believe in Dan Mullins. You know, he knows how to do it. He's been there. He's done that in this conference. You know, boo-boos like that are going to happen. And you just got to settle down because they were worried and concerned that Ralph might be a little too jacked up for this game.
I think this is an area of the field from Auburn. You got to be careful. They show exotic pressures and looks on 3rd down.
Ralph needs to pick up 13 to keep the drive going. And a man out there, and a little stumble from Chris Smith, or else he might have been able to run that ball down. To Sharvin Bell was on the coverage for the Tigers.
I think it's outstanding coverage on the outside. Got the foot fire and the foot fault there at the front, trying to get it to slip a little bit, but that's still a nice job of staying and covering his job by Bell.
One thing Auburn defensive coordinator Ted Roof told us, the secondary has to play better. They weren't physical as they needed to be last week. They busted a bunch of coverages. Right now, answering the bell, playing very well so far early in this game.
And check the receiver on the last play. It was Leon Berry rather than Chris Smith. It'll be Heath Hutchins, lined up in punt formation for the Dogs. Hutchins driving it inside the 10. Can Mississippi State get it stopped? They do. An excellent punt by Hutchins. Patrick Hanrahan on the play, the 40-yard punt, as Cam Newton backed up in the shadow of his goalpost.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. See what's new on Applebee's 2 for $20 menu. Classics you love and new flavors you'll crave. And in part by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And ING, your number. Find it at ingyournumber.com.
Boy, those faces are certainly familiar to Auburn and SEC fans. The Tigers have a long and storied history of tremendous running backs. None greater than Vincent Bo Jackson, the all-time leading rusher in Auburn history. Cadillac Williams right behind him on the list. You see some of the other notable running backs. And Gene Chizik believes that in the not-too-distant future, he has another one in Michael Dyer. He was the #1 running back in the country, according to the ESPN U150. We will see plenty of young Michael Dyer from Little Rock, Arkansas tonight. No, he has not made his first carry yet. It is Ontario McCaleb, the speedster, picking up 1. Auburn started the drive on its own 4.
With this up-tempo offense, Auburn offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn is trying to dictate to the defense. He's going to try to keep them in base looks, limit their chances to make substitutions, therefore trying to tire them down throughout the course of the game.
And if I'm Manny Diaz, his goal tonight, he says, is he wants to make sure we have poise, #1, and #2, get lined up and make a call. Line up right.
2nd and 9, facing Newton. McCaleb. And Ontario, who's picked up some weight from his freshman year, not quite enough to move that pile just yet. Another short gain will bring up 3rd and 8. Nick Bell and Chris White on the stop.
The good news for Mississippi State up front on the defensive line, they should be fresh. The guy that played the most snaps last week was defensive end Pernell McPhee. He only played 22 plays. So they've had a lot of time to rest. They should be ready to go.
Now, their goal is to have 22 starters on defense. They want to have 2 deep where they can rotate a lot.
3rd and 7. McCaleb trying to bounce to the outside, and Auburn will be in a punting situation. Nick Bell getting the start tonight and making his 2nd straight tackle.
How about the cowbells?
They can ring after plays. They just don't want them to ring while the visitors are lining up. It's the first time in 36 years that the SEC has officially allowed cowbells into the stadium.
And if the rules are broken, the SEC will hand out fines at the end of the season, correct?
Yeah, but I think it would be fine for Mississippi State to win.
They'll take it.
Ryan Schumacher, a low line drive punt that Bumpus has. Bumpus a dangerous runner, but some excellent coverage by Auburn. It looked like Emory Blake, who caught the touchdown pass, working on special teams. Mississippi State with its second possession, hoping to have reason to ring those bells coming up. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Auburn taking on Mississippi State from Starkville. The Tigers with a 7-0 lead. Bulldogs about to get it for the second time. Tonight's weekend menu brought to you by Applebee's, and the portions are heaping helpings. You can see Miami and Ohio State on ESPN, Penn State and Alabama, Florida State and Oklahoma. It is a monster Saturday indeed.
Look forward to seeing Bob Stoops' football team. He has a young ball club. They'll play much better this weekend than they did last week.
Sooners struggle with Utah State, winning by 7. Mississippi State, excellent field position at the Auburn 47 to start this drive. Chris Ralph, that'll hurt the field position. Down he goes. Excellent pressure from the Auburn front. Mike Blanc getting the sack on Ralph.
One thing Mississippi State offensive coordinator Les Cunning told us was pressure was great against Memphis last week. How's it going to look against a much bigger, stronger, and more physical Auburn front? Well, that was only a 4-man rush by Auburn, and you see how quickly that pocket collapsed.
2nd and 18. Now facing Kenning and the Dogs. Ralph tried the quarterback draw, and sniffing that out was Nick Fairley, the junior from Mobile, who the coaches say he consistently fires out behind the pads. He can be a dominating defensive lineman.
And right now, the defensive line is taking it to Mississippi State's offensive line. And this is a pretty good offensive line up front, but Ralph's not feeling, not seeing it down there.
Did you see defensive tackle Nick Fairley blow up that double team? They are getting killed right now, the center and guard position inside.
3rd down, and they got to get it to Tupelo for the first down. And Ralph still going backwards. 3 negative plays, and guess who in the backfield again? Fairley was first. Michael Goggins was with him, and State will have to punt it.
I was watching Nick Fairley on tape this week, and he just jumps off the page. There's another double team he's able to beat. He's patient, he pulls, uses the swim move, once again in the backfield.
Sure makes coverage down the field easy when that's happening, right?
Man.
You can take care of a secondary and make them look really good.
3 plays, lost 13. Mississippi State will punt it away. Quindarius Carr back to receive the kick. A little hesitation. And Carr lets it go right through him, and the Dogs are on it. On the bottom of the pile, first break of the game goes Mississippi State's way. Patrick Hanrahan with the recovery for the Bulldogs.
The bobble of the snap allowed the coverage to get down, which allowed it to be a little closer to the punt returner and threw the punt return man off.
And Auburn has had major issues in the special teams return game. Last week against Arkansas State, they fumbled the opening kickoff of the second half, and now Quindarius Carr dropping the punt. That gives Mississippi State the football now in the red zone.
Well, the last offensive series disastrous for the Dogs. Ralph, shovel pass, got his man, open field for Marcus Green to get inside the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for the Bullies, a pickup of 11.
When you've got a defense that's flying around, Jesse, what do? You take advantage of their over-aggressiveness.
And here it is. They're showing triple option. All of the flow of the defense is going to the tailback, and all of a sudden, fullback able to slip underneath. That was tight end Marcus Green on the shovel pass. Nice design.
On the 1st and goal, empty backfield for Ralph. Give inside to Vic Ballard. Ballard driving inside the 5 and down close to the 2-yard line.
Mississippi State has to replace Anthony Dixon, and head coach Dan Mullen told us, and Anthony Dixon comes once every 10, 15 years, but we feel we have a stable of backs that can get the job done.
And a great left tackle, Derek Sherrod, that time really coming off, getting 2 good solid blocks. So when you've got a big man up front who can do that, it usually makes a running back look better.
No running backs beside Ralph on the 2nd and goal. Ralph going to keep it himself. Chris Ralph on his feet, stretching. Ball might have gotten loose. We'll let them unpile it as Ralph stretched for the goal line. And the officials are signaling touchdown. Darren Bates of Auburn beside himself signaling that Auburn got the ball, but our spotter Mike Black says it's Gabe Jackson who wound up on the bottom of the pile and got it back from Mississippi State.
Well, Dan Mullen, Coach Tim Tebow at Florida for 3 years. This play looks pretty familiar, doesn't it, guys? QB power inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah, but you've got to really tuck that football, and you got to hold on to it as you're going across. And you see the ball got away from his body. Ralph right here as he lowers his shoulder to protect himself, and the extra effort. He is a big man.
There's the football loose on the ground. See it better from this angle, I think, guys, as Ralph was stretching it toward the goal line.
Guys, I think that's a fumble. I don't think that ball broke the plane before his knee was down. I think this is Auburn football. I think that's a touchback.
Well, I think Gabe Jackson got on the ball. Gabe Jackson got on at 61, didn't he?
That's who ended up with the football as Ralph is on the sidelines. Now, the ruling on the field is a touchdown. They will look at it.
It's funny.
Upstairs. Ruling on the field has been confirmed. Touchdown for the Bulldogs.
I've had so many coaches on offense that really didn't like it when players try to stretch the football over the pylon, particularly with one hand, because stuff like that can happen.
You know, defense is taught. Get out there, 2nd and 3rd guys, get to the ball, strip, hand across it. So an outstanding job by Gabe Jackson of being inside there, 61, jumping on the ball.
Excellent play. Good hustle by Jackson to be there and to allow Mississippi State to take advantage of the muffed punt by Auburn. Extra point is true, and late in the 1st quarter in Starkville, we're tied at 7. 2 high-powered offenses. Each has a touchdown so far. Welcome back to Starkville. Reese Davis, Craig James, Jesse Palmer, and Jen Brown. Auburn and Mississippi State tied at 7. That is Patrick Hanrahan. He was just called for a personal foul on the extra point, so Mississippi State will be backed up 15 yards on the kickoff. Perhaps worth noting that Hanrahan started his college football career at Alabama and is now called for a personal foul against his former arch rival. Now let's see if we can pick up what Hanrahan did. A little headbutt, and the Vlade Divac's reaction from Darren Bates. A little flop.
Sometimes you got to be a good actor.
But still completely unnecessary. Mullen wants to hear none of Hanrahan's excuses since his kickoff team will now put it in play from the 15 instead of the 30.
And that's the problem. If you're Mississippi State, all of a sudden you have a huge momentum-shifting touchdown. Now you're going to kick off. There's a great chance Auburn's going to start this drive with excellent field possession.
Tom Broccoli is going to kick it away for Mississippi State. So far, has had an advantage in the kicking game. Killed a punt on the Auburn 4 and then took advantage of the muff to set up their touchdown. Broccoli puts a foot into it. Kamon Washington at his 20. Washington a little seam. He's got great speed. Washington gets it into Mississippi State territory. A headgear goes flying, and Broccoli again there to make the stop on the kickoff for Mississippi State. 33 yards on the return. So good field position this time for the Tiger offense, which when last we saw Cam Newton backed up inside his 5, and Gus Malzahn pretty conservative with the play calling backed up in his own end. Michael Dyer into the game for the first time tonight, the freshman running back, number 5 for the Tigers. Fake to Dyer. Newton, Zachary complete and a lot of room. Terrell Zachary inside the 35, a first down for Auburn. Corey Broomfield on the stop, but not before Zachary picks up 15.
You do not want to give Auburn the football in a short field because they do not take a long time to score points. Last week, 6 of their 7 touchdown drives was scored in 2 minutes or less.
Well, and that's a 20-yard cushion. That just can't happen. And you know that Cam Newton is schooled up on those.
Dyer's first carry, and he is greeted rudely in the backfield. And welcome the freshman to SEC play, Pernell McPhee, Maurice Langston on the stop.
When I say schooled up, he sees that, Jesse, and you know that Dan Mullen has taught him. You see a cushion like that, come up and let's hit it.
You just got to compete. You can't give away yards, particularly against this offense coached by Gus Malzahn.
Newton to throw on second down. Wants it all. Darvin Adams is out there, and it's intercepted. Nico Whitley in the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Two turnovers in the first quarter for Auburn.
This is the right read by Cameron Newton, but it's the wrong type of throw. He's got Darvin Adams working down the seam. That has to be a straight ball shot. He instead floats it, and that allows safety Nico Wheatley to come over and make the play.
You know, watching the film study yesterday, that was the one thing that we noticed, that the secondary was moving, they were flying around. This was a secondary that last year had 6 different combinations, and they took a lot of heat. So this year, this was the question. Can they step up and match what they hoped the offense was going to give them?
State gave up a lot of passing yards last year and passing touchdowns, but they were proficient at interception. There were 17 of them.
Mississippi State, their first time out of the half.
Mississippi State uses its first timeout of the half. Chris Ralph still in at quarterback. Saturday afternoon, ABC and ESPN2 deliver a regional matchup. Christian Ponder leading number 20 Florida State against number 7 Oklahoma, and Landry Jones, Sumblesea, Iowa State, and Iowa. College football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings on ABC or ESPN2. Saturday, 3:30 Eastern. Go to ESPN.com. Just search maps. You can see where you can find your game. Of course, both games available online, ESPN3.com.
Oklahoma has won 31 straight games at home. It's the longest active streak in the nation. But Christian Ponder threw 4 touchdown passes last week against Samford in the first half. This is a big-time offense coming in.
You know, it seemed to me that even though it was Samford, that Florida State played with more energy, more urgency than you'd seen in quite some time. And it'll be a different test for sure. Great game, Seminoles and Sooners. First down after the interception, and getting the first carry is Robert Elliott, and Auburn's defensive line, which has been stout in the early going, stuffs out Mr. Elliott before he even gets started.
Yeah, Florida State did look like they were running, didn't they, last week? Kind of like the old Seminoles track meet, and had a lot of confidence in what they were doing.
And how about Florida State on defense? Again, I know it's Sanford,
sure,
but Mark Stoops' defense, 2 field goals. Pretty good. It's a balanced team.
And second down, Ralph leaves it with his inside man. It was Sylvester Hemphill getting his first carry of the night. And in that Florida State-Oklahoma game, it will be brother against brother with Mark Stoops, moving from Arizona to take over as defensive coordinator at Florida State in his first year against big brother Bob.
The story goes that Mark didn't know when he took the job that he was going to have to play at Oklahoma, and Bob said, well, you do know what that means. We're going to be playing each other.
Imagine the competitive juices will be flowing as they are here tonight. Third down. Elliott has it. Little room. Robert Elliott squirts across the 30-yard line, and he has the first down.
Now this is a bread and butter play here. Right side, you see the pulling that's going to take place. Elliott gets in behind his big guard and tackle. Great execution. And what you have to be mindful of, right, Jesse, is to, down the road, worry about the play action off of that.
No question. I think it's this veteran offensive line in Mississippi State right now imposing its will in the run game. They've struggled in protection, but in the run game, they're getting great push.
We've seen big plays in the first quarter. The bells are ringing, and we're tied in Starkville.
Show me what you got now. Let's go, let's go. Get up, sing it like it's good. Get up, I love the way you
Headed to the second quarter in Starkville. Reese Davis, Craig James, Jesse Palmer, and Jen Brown. Auburn and Mississippi State tied at 7. A far cry from the last time these two teams met here at Davis-Wade Stadium. Wes Byram's 36-yard field goal, the best offense of the night, gave Auburn 3. Mississippi State got a deuce. We were called for holding in the end zone. Auburn's Ryan Pugh was. They thought it was an SEC game, but the World Cup broke out. 3-2, Tommy Tuberville over Sylvester Croom. A far cry now with these two offenses, which in their opening games combined for over 100 points and 1,200 yards. Tyler Russell, the sophomore, or redshirt freshman quarterback, I should say, from Meridian, Mississippi, has checked in for the first time tonight. Russell to throw it. He'll check down. He's got Elliott. Robert Elliott takes a big hit, and delivering it was Nosa Igwe, the freshman, picked up 3. Now, Russell, more of a passer, pure passer type.
And probably the most heralded recruit ever to sign at quarterback here at Mississippi State. Tied a school record with 4 touchdowns a week ago. He's got to be poised against a much better defense.
Russell again, easy pitch and catch. He's got his man. Get up close to the first down does Brandon Evans. Evans, who had over 100 yards receiving and a couple of touchdowns against Memphis last week.
I think it's a good time to put Russell in because your offensive line has set their path. Really, you've got the running game going, so you've got some balance there.
And it shows the confidence the head coach Dan Mullen has in his young freshman quarterback. Here you are, monster SEC West division game earlier in the season, tie ball game. You have no reservations about putting your freshman in.
Mississippi State needs to convert this 3rd and short. Auburn got a good push. Elliott pounding inside. He'll have the first down up close to the 46-yard line. And you know, that's one thing that Dan Mullen told us yesterday. Last week against Memphis, a set rotation for when Tyler Russell would come into the game. Wanted to protect him a little bit more tonight. Wanted to make sure he didn't get it deep in negative territory.
He wanted to play him in the first quarter if he could. That wasn't the case. It's not the way this game has played out so far. But, Craig, I'm with you. Good time to put him in.
Auburn showing a little pressure. Play clock headed to 5. Russell the draw. And the give to Ballard. A short gain. Aaron Savage coming up from his safety position to make the stop for the Tigers. Now, this is the quarterback comparison a week ago. Ralph on his first pass threw an interception. The offensive coordinator Les Kenning said it was a really good pass. It was a spiral, hit the defender right in the numbers.
So he was really 8 for 9.
Yeah, it was perfect. And the 9th one was a drop, I think.
And the one word I heard from the coaching staff was that he doesn't panic, that Russell's calm.
Now Russell looking at a 2nd and 8. Here is Tyler. Heat coming, gets rid of it. Ball is dropped. Brandon Henderson had it. The heat was coming once again from Nick Fairley, who is wreaking havoc in the Mississippi State backfield.
Man, it really shows me something here about the poise of Russell and the awareness of the game. He knows that Fairley's coming and going to hit him. He buys a little time with his feet to deliver the ball.
Mississippi State offensively is going to have to find an answer to block Nick Fairley. It might take a center guard. It might take guard tackle. The back might have to help. Somebody has to help because he is blowing it up right now in the backfield.
Whistles. Official stop play.
The previous play is under further review.
The throw was toward Brandon Henderson. It appeared that he never had it. You heard from Matt Austin, the referee. And while they look at this to, I assume, determine whether it was a catch and a fumble.
Brandon Henderson just sits down in the zone. It looks from here as though the ball gets into his body. That's a pretty obvious call. I don't think this one will take very long.
No. Fairly really applying the heat, and consistency, as we mentioned, is what they want from Nick Fairley. And with Auburn's defense struggling at times in coverage, particularly in the opener and last year, pass rush would help that, and Fairley can provide that.
The best friend, the best news for a defensive coordinator is when he can get pressure with only 4 players.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Incomplete pass. 3rd down.
And that is what Auburn's been able to do tonight. They haven't had to sacrifice linebackers and safeties to get pressure on the Mississippi State quarterbacks.
Yeah, but you know, when you've got 4 committed up there, that's why Mississippi State's had a good job of running the ball at times. So I think they're going to go back and be balanced with that.
Yeah, you know, I think this coaching staff has to take a hard look and just understand, hey, we're beating them off the ball when we're running the football. Let's stick with that and wear these guys down.
Since State picked off Cameron Newton in the end zone, this is their 9th play. They're just now to midfield. 3rd and 8, facing the young quarterback. Russell delivers. It is intercepted by guess who? What a game Nick Fairley is having. This time, instead of coming with the pressure, he dropped back and grabbed it.
You're going to see a lot of different bodies, and Jesse, as a quarterback, you know for certain here at the snap of the football, the look and the change of what they did defensively got to the quarterback.
Absolutely, Craig. It was a great job confusing the young freshmen. They show all blitz. The quarterback thinks there's nobody deep. He's got to make a hot read throw. The defensive line on the zone pressure able to back out, and there's Nick Fairley probably having the game of his career right now.
How about in less than 18 minutes of football, he's got 3 tackles, half a sack, and an interception. Somebody wants to be player of the game tonight.
He's got the pants so far.
Yeah. Newton on the option. McCaleb's got great speed. Ontario McCaleb inside the 40.
23 McCaleb.
Emmanuel Gatling on the stop, so Mississippi State took care and advantage of an Auburn turnover, and now Auburn trying to return the favor.
Edge to the corner there. Chris White, number 50, didn't get out fast enough, and a nice job of blocking on the corner by the receiver, Emory Blake.
This time Newton's going to keep it. He uses that big body and gets down to the 33-yard line. Boy, he is a load coming through there, 250-ish. He is a big, big man. The cannon arm, Dan Mullen, who knows him well, he can throw it 85 yards. And certainly his running prowess evident in the opener last week, the 171 yards against Arkansas State. Now Newton leading Auburn on a drive. Dumps it down to Blake, who caught the touchdown pass earlier, and Emory Blake stopped by Emmanuel Gatling, the former walk-on. Now a senior, the chemical engineer major, there to make the stop for the Dogs.
I think that's an example right there of what the defensive coaches were talking about Mississippi State. If you don't get to Newton, he's got to have time, and he's accurate. He'll get the receiver the ball.
Mississippi State has to do a good job of keeping the football in front of them. If they're going to play big zones defensively, they can go attack.
Down on the field for Auburn is their star left tackle, Lee Zimba. Zimba making his 40th start tonight. Basically been a starter since he arrived from Rogers, Arkansas. He is one of the leaders on that veteran Auburn offensive line.
He's a guy that tested the NFL market last season, thought he might decide to go pro. You heard a lot of rumors that he could get selected in the 2nd round of last year's NFL draft. He decided to come back this year. They cannot afford to lose him.
They're looking at Zimba. We'll give you an update on his condition when we come back from Starkville. Back in Starkville, Auburn and Mississippi State tied at 7 on the Tigers sideline. They are attending to their star left tackle.
Crazy deals, but this is a very good football player that they can ill afford to lose.
He had started now after tonight 40 consecutive games. Brandon Mosley checking in his stead. Mosley, a 6'6", 299-pound junior from Jefferson, Georgia. Newton to throw it. Feels a little heat. Cam's got some room, and he is hit hard, but not before. He picks up the first down. Cameron Newton getting it down to the 25 and converting another 3rd down with his legs.
The biggest benefit of a mobile quarterback is his ability to move the chains on critical downs. On 3rd down, if it's not open downfield, he'll just tuck it. Who's going to tackle a 250-pound quarterback one-on-one?
But Manny Diaz made it clear, the defensive coordinator, we'll give up the 3rd and 6 conversions. We can't give up the 60, 50, 40-yard touchdown runs.
Quarterback draw. He may give up one here as Newton crashes inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal for the Tigers. 17 yards on the carry before Whitley knocked him over.
You see the right guard, Byron Isom, when he pulls around here. You got the fullback running up in there, Smith. When you have traffic like that, Jesse, I mean, you might be able to go back out and do that.
Yeah, well, when I was playing quarterback, if I got into the secondary, I was sliding. You see Cam Newton, he's just running guys over. He's by far the biggest player on the field once he's into that area.
What a peek at Manny Diaz, the new defensive coordinator here. Football is on the ground. Newton trying to get it back, and Cameron does. A missed exchange between Newton and Mario Fannin, and the scramble by Newton saves Auburn from disaster in the red zone, a loss of 4.
It's amazing how many problems we've seen around the country early this year with the quarterback-center exchange. Florida had a lot of issues. North Carolina gave up a big safety. Here already, Auburn, they're having problems QB running back exchange.
Yeah, that's just that read right there. Yeah. Newton didn't want to give it up. Ball carrier wanted it. Couldn't come to an agreement.
2nd and goal. Heat coming, got a little screen set up. Terrell Zachary, he put it on the ground and grabbed it. There's a flag flying. It was thrown in the direction of Mike Berry, the left guard. Terrell Zachary was the guy who made the catch. And Auburn, after getting it inside the 10, had a loss on the fumble, and now is backed up on the penalty.
Gene Chizik told us he wanted more 9 and 10-play drives. I'm not sure he wanted it this way.
Block in the back. Offense number 66. A penalty's declined. 3rd down.
So Diaz and Mullen will take their chances. Auburn looking at a goal-to-go situation, and rather than giving them 2 plays, they're going to try to give them 1 from just inside the 13-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Mullen exhorting the crowd. Tigers needing to get it to the end zone. Blitz coming. Newton, a dart, touchdown Auburn. Darvin Adams. You want to see some arm strength? How about that P that Newton shot in there?
Running back Mario Fannin allows Cameron Newton to get this football off. Watch the tailback number 27 slide over, pick up the free defender, boom! And that allows Cam Newton to stand tall in the pocket and deliver the strike.
Newton, 7 of 8, 83 yards, a couple of touchdown passes, and Auburn has regained the lead. So Mississippi State elects not to move the Tigers back 10, and Newton makes them pay. Auburn up 14-7.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. And Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Behold the power of cheese. A unit of the Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station, the Mapes sales store. It's the Mississippi State cheese store. They wanted something to bring some attention to them, so they started making big cannonball-sized cheese. There's some in the cooler for you guys later. Big hunks of cheese, too. Blocks of cheese, cannonball-sized cheese. Lots of dairy products. Ice cream at halftime, I'm told here.
Really?
Well, that got a response. West Byram kicking off after the Auburn touchdown. Chad Bumpus has it for the Dogs. Bumpus trying to get back to the 20, and he won't even make it to the 15. Excellent special teams coverage by the Tigers. Demetrius McNeil, one of the ones down to make the stop for Auburn. Only one race remaining before the Chase Field is set. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards both emerged as championship contenders after strong performances in Atlanta last weekend. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Richmond on ABC Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern Time.
Chris Relf coming back in the game. I like that, Jesse. You know what? You gave Russell a shot at it and lathered him up, but
single back is Hanrahan. Relf keeps it on the option. Chris Relf with a good gain. He'll have a first down out close to the 24-yard line. And Relf pausing momentarily after getting hit by Darren Bates. He picked up 12.
Chris Relf is from Montgomery, Alabama. The coaching staff told us he's had big eyes all week in practice. He's been anticipating this game against the team he grew up watching.
Again on the option, and Hanrahan will keep it. He gets up across the 30. You know, Relf, we were talking to him about how many people that he had, friends, family, coming to the game, and he just kept naming them. My parents, my sister, my friends. He has at least 8 here. Sticking with the option, big hole up the middle, and it's Patrick Hanrahan, the senior, also a native of the state of Alabama from Springville. He picks up 13.
well, Relf will surely enjoy this football game if his offensive line continues to open holes like that and makes the job easier for him.
Triple option under center? Well, yeah, they did not show a lot of that last week in a win against Memphis. It's a nice job now adding a different element to confuse Auburn's defense.
This time, fumbled center quarterback exchange. It looked as if Auburn got it. And I believe they did. Second turnover in a row for Mississippi State. This one on the center quarterback exchange, and Auburn will have great field position.
I think this is one of the themes early in the college football season, is teams struggling with the basic mechanics. The center QB exchange, and by the way, look who falls on that football. Of course. Fairly.
You know, some of that, Jesse, is that you've got, you know, one play, it's a shotgun. The next time the quarterback's under center. I mean, there's a lot of movement going around, and the ball just never got up in the hands of Relf.
So what is that now for Fairley? That's a fumble recovery, an interception, 2 sacks?
No, half a sack.
Okay, half a sack and
at least 3 tackles. Marty Aronoff working on that.
Unbelievable.
And a lot of pressure.
You bet. So it's 1st and 10 after the turnover. Newton on the option. McCaleb. A short pickup for Ontario McCaleb. Brunel McPhee, Emmanuel Gatling, who's been active tonight, making the stop.
Yeah, this is one of those series here for Mississippi State. Auburn is starting to feel it, right?
Yeah.
Defense better step up.
Play gains 2, 2nd down.
The Tigers looking at 2nd and 8. Newton feeling a little heat, still on his feet. Cameron Newton eludes one, runs over another, and it looks as if he'll have enough for the first down. Gatling on the stop. Let's check in with Jen Brown.
Thanks, guys. I have an injury update of left tackle Lee Zimba. I watched him. We saw him kind of be carried off the field. They evaluated him on the sideline. They were checking out what looks like his right knee. He will not be returning to the game at this point. They are going to evaluate him at halftime to determine whether or not he can return. Reese?
All right, Jen. McCaleb. Lots of running room for the speedy Ontario McCaleb, and he gets it into the Mississippi State red zone, 18-yard line. Big pickup for McCaleb of 15.
His replacement, Brandon Mosley's got a big job to fill there, 75. Watch the left side of the line of scrimmage coming down with a block, caves everybody down inside to get the corner for the back.
It's 2 drives in a row now. Mississippi State had momentum driving the football. They turned it over, and Auburn so far has been able to capitalize.
Wildcat formation, Cody Burns taking the snap. Burns going to throw it for Cameron Newton, and the former quarterback who lost out in the competition last year to Chris Todd, trying to throw a touchdown pass to Cameron Newton. You know, we were talking to Gus Malzahn earlier this week about Cody Burns, who is an Arkansas native, as Malzahn is, and he said it was one of the hardest things he'd ever had to do in coaching, is to tell Burns he'd been beaten out for the quarterback spot.
Cody Burns played at Northside High School. That was a rival of Gus Malzahn when he was at Springdale in Arkansas. He said he's very competitive, but he's a leader, and he's taken on and accepted his responsibility at wideout now.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion from Burns. Newton, quarterback draw, opens right up the middle, and he'll be down to about the 11. K.J. Wright able to get the big quarterback on the ground. It'll be 3rd down.
Wearing number 2, it's easy to compare Cam Newton to Terrell Pryor.
Absolutely.
But there's a major difference between these two football players that you can noticeably see, and that's that Newton will lower his shoulder and bring the wood.
And that's why Gus Malzahn is not afraid to dial up run plays specifically for Cam Newton to carry the ball. Designed runs. Gus Malzahn told us, I've never coached a quarterback like this before. He's got different elements. He provides different intangibles that allow me to open my playbook in different ways I've never been able to do.
Newton's carried it 8 times for 50 yards tonight and converted 3 first downs. So Auburn will call the timeout, talk it over, looking at a 3rd down and 4 inside the state 15. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Auburn and Mississippi State getting late in the second quarter here at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville. Tigers up 14-7 and on the move. Ball at the Mississippi State 12. A 3rd and 4. Staring at Cam Newton and the Tigers. Last time they were in this neighborhood, they had a 3rd and goal from the 13. And Newton fired a dart to Darvin Adams for a touchdown. Newton has been very adept at picking up 3rd downs and a 4th down with his feet as well as his arm. Flag flying, Newton running, Newton a 1st down to the 5, but let's see what the flag is. It's on the ground at the 17-yard line. Mississippi State is having an awful time dealing with the quarterback runs.
Illegal formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
So Auburn will have to do it 5 yards farther away. Didn't get lined up properly.
Gus Malzahn, you know, 5 of his 14 games at this school has produced over 500 yards. I mean, the previous 40 games, they had not gotten to that point. 0 of that, right? No 500 yards.
Zilch.
So he knows how to get players into position to be successful. Now it's up to Mississippi State's defensive coaches. They got to figure out a way to stop that quarterback run.
3rd down.
Here comes another pressure look by Mississippi State.
Pretty long 8 for the Tigers. Newton. Pressure coming, wants to throw the screen. State has it snuffed out, and Cameron Newton just gets rid of it. Josh Boyd was back there, and avoiding the big sack, avoiding the turnover, pretty heady play by Newton.
This is where Mississippi State shines on defense. 3rd down, they move a lot of guys around in the box, trying to confuse the quarterback and the offensive line in terms of who they're blocking.
I thought that Chris White, number 50, the linebacker, you saw him pointing to the left side, wide side of the field. He heard the call, recognized what the play was going to be, and they were there for it.
Wes Byram attempting a 34-yard field goal. He has made 8 consecutive field goals dating back to last year. And you can make it 9. And Auburn takes advantage of the turnover. They had a field goal, and the Tigers are up 17-7 in the second. Back in Starkville, time for tonight's Aflac Trivia question. What team nickname is most common among FBS schools? I'll give you just a moment to think about it. A couple of giant hints playing right now. There's a hint. His old bully. Might not be the right hint, though. The Mississippi State mascot. As Auburn gets set to kick off after the field goal. Here's Aubie looking in the background. Wes Byram prepares to kick it away from the Tigers. Drive Leon Berry to his goal line. Berry across the 20, and he gets stuck. That is the freshman Craig Sanders. Aflac. The answer to tonight's Aflac trivia question: what team nickname most common among FBS schools? Got a quick guess? Tigers. You'd be right. Auburn, Clemson, LSU, Memphis, and Missouri, all Tigers. Bulldogs coming in second place with 4.
I've heard if you count all of college football together, every division, the answer is Eagles.
I'm glad you were really paying attention in the meeting.
55 schools.
Excellent memory by you. Chris Ralph. Scrambling. Ralph's got a little room. The Mississippi State quarterback is going to be about a yard short of the first down.
Almost in every game that I watched last weekend, the absence of a quarterback's ability to run was real noticeable. Texas and Florida, they lost their guys that could run. Look what Denard Robinson did for Michigan. These running quarterbacks, the pressure it puts on a defense is just, you can't account for the guy.
2nd and 1. Ralph riding Ladarius Perkins. He is the fastest Bulldog, and he's across the 40-yard line. Nifty feet through traffic for the young back.
Probably the fastest player on this football team. Dan Mullen's going to find ways to get the speed, the football, right here, doing a nice job with his vision, being patient, and then getting north-south.
Oh, Mullen, one of the top young offensive minds in the game. Worked with Urban Meyer at Florida for a number of years, and also at Utah. Tutored Tebow and Alex Smith. Working with a 2-quarterback system here at Mississippi State. Seeing more of Chris Ralph tonight. Perkins has it again. Ladarius is going absolutely nowhere. El Toro Freeman, the bull. El Toro with the stop.
I think they'll have a 2-quarterback system for a while, but at some point you get down to where you're going to have a quarterback.
I think no matter who's in there, Craig, ball security has to be a premium now for Mississippi State. The last 2 drives, they've turned it over. That's led directly to 10 Auburn points.
Ralph on 2nd and long. Holding it a long time now, firing a wide open Chad Bumpus, but he can't hold it. Ruled incomplete. Bumpus had some room in the middle of the field in that Auburn secondary, but Ralph not quite on the money.
But he knew where to go with the ball, right? He kept waiting on the post to get there and gave the patience, and Bumpus with the throw just to throw a little bit off.
Well, this is an offense that tries to get Chad Bumpus and Brandon Heavens, 2 slot receivers lined up against bigger linebackers and safeties. On that play, big zone coverage. Bumpus able to find the open field, but not able to throw an accurate football.
3rd down for Ralph. Good protection, ball swatted away. It'll be 4th down. Zach Clayton with the deflection for the Tigers. So the Auburn defense rising up here, and now with 2.5 minutes to go, Auburn won the toss, elected to take the ball, but they do have a chance to put another score on the board before Mississippi State gets it to open the second half. And if the Tigers could do that, then the Bulldogs would certainly be in dire straits. Keith Hutchins to punt it away from Mississippi State. Quindarius Carr deep for the Tigers. Oh, rugby style. Carr is going to let it hit. It'll roll inside, and he touched that at about the 14-yard line. Let's check in the studio with John Saunders.
Well, Reese, coming up on the IBM halftime report, Bobby Bowden joins us to talk about life after coaching in football. Mark May, of course, will tell us how to stop Terrell Pryor. And Dr. Lou lays down the law. All coming up on the IBM halftime report. Reese.
All right, John, I don't really know what's so different about Dr. Lou laying down the law. He pretty much does it to me every Saturday.
Quarterback Cameron Newton has an opportunity here to grow from last week. He really struggled with his time clock management late in the first half against Memphis. They missed an opportunity to hit a field goal. They have 2 timeouts left. Let's see if he can manage a 2-minute drive, put his team in scoring position.
Auburn has it at 14. Run to the inside.
Well, from my standpoint, I think Cam Newton's answered the question for me. Is he going to be real on the field? Absolutely. He's going to do nothing but get better week in and week out.
I'm impressed so far with his running ability. I don't know if I've seen enough yet throwing the football downfield. The only time he's really pushed the football deep downfield tonight, it's been intercepted. So the jury's still out to me whether this guy can do it through the air in this conference.
Clock
boy,
is running.
I'm impressed, though. I'm impressed.
Very physically gifted. Clock is winding. Auburn was very conservative the last time with Newton when they had the ball inside their own 20. That was inside the 5. Run it again. McCaleb's got some running room. Ontario McCaleb is dragged down. by Nico Whitley, who had the interception earlier in the half. So a little running room after the 11-yard pickup, and now let's see if Auburn really picks up the pace and gets a little more aggressive with the play calling now that they were able to pick up a first down on the ground. Mario Fannin has checked in for the Tigers. The give is to Fannin. Little wraparound draw. Fannin across the 35. He is dragged down a little bit short of the first down. Emmanuel Gatling with another tackle. Pickup of 9 for Fannin.
Gus Malzahn has so many different plays, so much they can do to create the eye candy that makes the defense fall asleep over there.
If Newton takes a shot, instead he'll run it himself. Cameron Newton has the first down, and he is knocked down at the 45. Whitley again. Among those on the stop, another 9-yard pickup for Cameron Newton. Now timeout called with 41 seconds remaining in the half. Are you ready for some football? NFL style Monday Night Football kicks off with a doubleheader at 7 o'clock. Ray Rice and the Ravens taking on Mark Sanchez and the Jets. One win away from the Super Bowl a season ago. Then at 10:15, Phillip Rivers leads that high-powered Chargers offense against Matt Castle and the Chiefs. Monday Night Football on ESPN Monday. Coverage begins at 5 o'clock with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Here is Lee Zimba, the starting left tackle for the Tigers, who was injured in the first half. Jen Brown reporting earlier it appeared to be an injury to his right knee. Didn't return immediately, and they're going to check him out at the half. Zimba is a kid whose parents both went to Auburn. He was an Auburn kid, though he was from Arkansas. The recruiting process was pretty much a done deal once the Tigers offered, and he has been a stalwart in that offensive line for his entire career, now making his 40th consecutive start tonight. So after the timeout, Auburn's picked up a couple of first downs on the ground. Cam Newton has run for 5 of them tonight. See what Gus Malzahn has dialed up. Newton is going to throw it. He does push it down the field, and he was looking for Emory Blake, who caught the first touchdown pass of the night, and Whitley was on the coverage.
Not complete, but definitely puts the fear in there. And for Lee Zimba, you know, I think we all hope that he does and is able to come back and play. But Brandon Mosley, his replacement there, 75, has done a nice job. We haven't seen his guy making plays.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion. Newton again on that wraparound draw. McCaleb has it, and he has running room. Ontario McCaleb was about an inch or two away from being one-on-one with one man to beat. Corey Broomfield made the stop after the pickup of 12.
The risk you take when you force pressure is sometimes slow developing plays like draws or screens can run right by you. Gus Malzahn again with the perfect play dialed up.
Newton, quick fire, incomplete, looking for Blake again.
I think if you're Auburn right now, you're trying to get into or around the 30-yard line to allow West Bynum a makeable 47-yard field goal here. I think that'd be a goal right now for Cam Newton.
Last week, the end of that second quarter, they had 17 seconds to go. So this is in that same range of clock management for Newton.
Tigers do have a timeout left. Byron, by the way, is career long, a 52-yarder, so he'd have a shot if they could get it to the 35. Newton getting heat. Don't want to take the sack here. Cam, the pass knocked down 10 seconds. Now officially 9 seconds remaining in the first half. Benias Timms making the play for Mississippi State.
Rush 3 and drop 8 and try to cover everybody up, and that time, nice job, pressure coming on the outside. Ferguson and these guys putting pressure in there. So Nick Bell's in there now, 36. So fresh bodies on that D-line.
Newton has missed his last 4 pass attempts. Noise coming. Bulldogs aren't. They'll keep it on the ground with McCaleb, and he's knocked down at the 39-yard line. Auburn does have a timeout, which apparently they will not use. That is the half. So perhaps a curious bit of end of the half play calling. by Malzahn, being very conservative with the new quarterback despite his immense physical gifts. But as it is, Auburn still very productive. 17-7 lead at the half. Let's check in with Jen Brown, who's with Dan Mullen.
Thanks, Coach. After an early scoring drive, your offense has sputtered with 2 turnovers in a row. What do you need to do to get the offense back on track in the second half?
Yeah, just hold on to the football right there. I mean, we got a couple drop passes, 2 turnovers. You can't win a football game turning the ball over, playing sloppy like that. We had some opportunities to make plays, didn't make them. We just got to come back and execute, run what we do well in the second half.
Now on defense, Cam Newton seems to be giving your guys trouble in both passing and rushing the ball. What do you need to do to slow him down?
Just wrap him up. You know, I mean, we got a couple missed tackles. A lot of poor fundamentals for us. We got to really get their fundamentals straightened up right there to just contain them, wrap them up on defense, and then play sound on offense. That's all we got to do.
All right, thanks, Coach. Guys.
All right, Jen, sellout crowd here at Davis. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Starkville, Mississippi, the site. Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field. Auburn with a 17-7 lead on the Bulldogs at halftime. Just about to get set to start the third quarter. Reese Davis along with Craig James, Jesse Palmer, and Jen Brown. First half, Auburn very productive at times, sort of the Home Depot coaching adjustment.
You got to keep number 90 out of the backfield if you're in Mississippi State. You know, when I had to go back and look at my notes again, I was like, is this really a good offensive line at Mississippi State? This is the team last year that crushed people on the ground. So maybe, Jesse, you get back to running it because surely you can't get away from him when you go with the ball on the other side.
You're right, Craig. Mississippi State has to find a way to neutralize Auburn defensive tackle Chris Fairley, whether he's been in the backfield, messing up quarterbacks, running backs, dropping in the zone blitz schemes, intercepting passes, or falling on fumbles. Mississippi State has to find a way to keep him uninvolved. And if that means taking a center and a guard tackle, cut blocking him, or getting a back involved, you got to find a way offensively.
What number was Ndamukong Suh last year?
I think he was 93, but in the first half, Nick Fairley looked a lot like him. He was all over the place. With 3 tackles, half a sack. He intercepted a pass, recovered a fumble, and generally wrecked the first half for Dan Mullen's team. Fairley, a 6'5", 298-pound junior out of Mobile, Alabama. The guy that the coaches believe if he continues to bring that type of intensity, he can be a dominant, big-time, all-conference type of performer on that defensive line. He certainly did it in the first half. Auburn got the ball to start the game. They'll kick it away, and Mississippi State really needs to get a little offense going. While they came up with a stop late in the half, they've had a lot of trouble containing Cameron Newton.
You consider right now for Mississippi State on this drive, big to go find points. Mississippi State has only scored 7 points in tonight's ball game, and that's because they were able to recover a fumble punt inside Auburn's red zone. They got to put a drive together, and it's got to start now.
Second half is underway from Starkville. It will be Leon Berry returning the kickoff for the Bulldogs. Berry's got a little seam, and he'll get across the 35. Good starting field position for the Bulldogs. Let's check in with Jen Brown.
Thanks, guys. I talked to Coach Chizik after the half and asked him what he needed to do on offense and defense to really get this team going. They're only up at 17. They have 17 at the half, excuse me. He says they need to have sustained drives on offense, that they can't keep on getting these penalties that are pulling them from getting 7 points, and they're only ending up with 3. And I did talk to him about defense. He said they need to get the ball, and they need to be off the field on defense. Guys?
All right, Jen, so Mississippi State will start first, and let's see how much they try to run it at the Tigers. Option. Chris Ralph cut it back inside and paid for it. Jonathan Evans was there. Josh Bynes as well.
They averaged 5 yards a carry last week, but that wasn't Auburn, right? And you know what? And they averaged 227 a game last year. Don't shy away from it.
You know, it's interesting. If you have to take 2 players to block Nick Fairley, that big defensive tackle, that frees up linebackers to roam around unblocked as well. It's a pick-your-poison dilemma right now if you're Mississippi State up front on the offensive line.
They haven't really found a back that can move the pile as Anthony Dixon did last year either. Second and 9. Ralph over the middle, has his man. It's Ballard out of the backfield for the catch into Auburn territory. 20 24 yards on the pickup.
Out of the backfield, and this is a nice job of Ballard going right through. Linebackers looking hard at the running game. Beautiful job of getting the ball to him.
But if it's a better throw by Chris Ralph and he's able to put it over the left inside shoulder, I think Ballard's still running right now.
I agree.
For a touchdown.
But backing him up just a little bit, getting the pass to him.
Ralph, quick to Bumpus. Bumpus, a shifty receiver. Chad Bumpus marked out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Chris Smith got a good block on the 8-yard pickup.
Well, we saw last week, Jesse, that at times Ralph was not accurate. You know, maybe they're trying to get his confidence and accuracy.
There's no question. They started the game with short completions, easy throws. They're starting the second half to allow him to get back into this rhythm, and right now it's working.
Bulldogs on the move. A second and short from 2. Play clock inside 10. Ralph. Quick out, complete, first down. The grab by Chris Smith, who had the good block on the previous play, rewarded with the ball this time.
The advantage of having a quarterback who's mobile like Chris Ralph, defenses are afraid to send pressure. You don't want to get gashed on a quarterback run play, so that opens up some windows in this passing game.
Ralph, the most experienced quarterback for Mississippi State. Doing the hard count. We've only seen Tyler Russell briefly in this game. Low snap, a little trouble on it, and Nick Fairley just threw down Robert Elliott for fun, but Ralph ended up keeping it after the near botch on the handoff in the backfield.
Well, you know, now what are we seeing? 2, maybe 3 exchanges that have not been good from the center to the quarterback.
Zach Clayton is back there. Fairley just sorting them out until he finds the one with the ball. On the option. Ralph inside the 25 and down to the 20. He's going to be about a yard short of the first down. Aaron Savage, the 6th-year safety for Auburn, making the stop.
It's not very often you see a football game with 2 quarterbacks as big as Cameron Newton and Chris Ralph running with so much ability.
That's the first time I've seen Ralph show me that he has the speed to run like that. So, hey, let it go. Cut it loose.
And he's 240 pounds.
Ish.
Maybe a little more.
Yeah, I think we easily have 500 pounds of quarterback here tonight between Ralph and Newton. Ralph under center on the 3rd and 1. Going to go up top to throw it, and he throws it to his fullback, Patrick Hanrahan. Made a very nice catch. It'll be enough for the first down. And Savage, who has missed the last 2 seasons, missed 08 with a knee, 09 with an Achilles, there to make another tackle for the Tigers.
Another sign you've got the ability and the potential at quarterback, getting your feet around, knowing you're going to get hit, but getting rid of the football.
But a great catch by the fullback, Patrick Hanahan, to kind of reach up over his shoulders to tuck that in. This has been a very impressive drive by Mississippi State now to start the second half.
Ralph's hit all 4 of his passes. 8th play of the drive coming. The reverse. Bumpus has it. 1 man to beat. And Savage gets him out of bounds. Been setting that up for a while, Jeff.
Here's the evolution of this offense. Dan Mullen's been showing you speed option, getting the flow of the defense going one way, and all of a sudden, whoop, little reverse to the receiver.
Well, and number 90, Nick Fairley, original play side, right where the pitch went to, he was in the backfield 3 yards. So you've got a very aggressive front right now, and I think that the play calling has taken advantage of Auburn's front 7 getting after it.
On 2nd down and 5, State's emptied the backfield. But here comes Ballard. Quick pass again. Bumpus has it again. Gets a good block. Bumpus headed for the pylon, but he's knocked out of bounds just short by Devon Washington. Leon Berry and Chris Smith, an excellent job paving the way for Bumpus.
And that receiver has to have the confidence. Bumpus has to have the confidence that his receiving teammate is going to make this block.
Defensive coordinator Ted Rue for Auburn told us that last week the DBs were getting Velcro to wide receivers, blocking them. On this play right here, a lot of white jerseys on the ground, and that allows Bumpus to use that speed to get outside. The secondary of Auburn has to find ways to shed these receivers blocking them so they can make tackles in space. Otherwise, Mississippi State will continue to take advantage of that.
First and goal inside the 3. Ralph is 5 for 5 on the drive in Mississippi State. A little confusion on the play call, and the
First
Bulldogs
time out of the half.
have to burn a timeout. But you don't want to make a mistake here. An opportunity to get back in it. Opening drive of the second half. Bulldogs have a first and goal. Just a little over an hour away from where we are in Starkville. Auburn leading Mississippi State 17-7. We will kick off Monster Saturday from the quad in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Catch ESPN's College Game Day built by the Home Depot. Starts 9 o'clock on ESPNU. Aaron Andrews hosting, Chris Fowler in the game. Everybody picks it all up at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Mississippi State has a first and goal from the Auburn 2. Opening drive, second half. Chris Ralph, jump pass, Tebow S. Oh, he dropped it. He had Marcus Green for the touchdown, and Green, it floated up there like a balloon, and he just couldn't haul it in.
A great call, Tebow S. Can't finish the play off, though. The hardest ball in the world to catch. Marcus Green, usually reliable, a guy on the Mackey Award candidate list. That won't prop him up the ladder.
In fairness to Green, I think he was anticipating this ball to be a little bit more of a line drive.
Neither punters had the hang time that pass had tonight.
But you still got to catch it.
Yes, indeed. Dogs keep it on the ground. Vic Ballard stopped just short of the goal line. It'll be third and goal. You know, and after Green bobbled that one, too, he was probably fortunate that Aaron Savage didn't get the deflection and snuff out the drive for Auburn.
That time I watched big Gabe Jackson, 61 over there, 305 pounds. He got a little push.
There's no surprise right now. If I'm Mississippi State, this thing is being pounded right up the middle. Power football.
Ballard's the tailback. Ballard into the end zone. The Bulldogs have opened the second half with a touchdown drive. Game on in the SEC on a Thursday night, gentlemen. John Broccoli for the extra point. Splendid play calling by Dan Mullen. Les Kenning and the offensive staff. And the extra point is true. And now Gene Chiswick's team will have an opportunity. And we'll see what old Gus Malzahn can dial up when you come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Kingsford Charcoal and the Home Depot. Get your tailgate started right with Kingsford Charcoal from the Home Depot.
Well, you can't throw a jump pass in Starkville without hitting a good barbecue place. Grumpy's, I think, named after our astute audio, but misnamed director Grumpy.
But our Grumpy's a nice guy.
He's a very pleasant man, jovial, laughing, always quick with a joke or to answer what's it to you when you ask him. Lou Holtz asked him why they call you Grumpy one time. He said, "What does it matter to you?" or something like that. He said, "You got a problem with that?" Mississippi State going onside kick. And the Bulldogs have it. Dan Mullen channeling his inner Sean Payton and going with the onside kick.
Dan Mullen feels that he had the energy and the momentum back on his sideline. He wants to keep him. An outstanding, gutsy call. It's the first game in conference play, and this is how you go out and take a game.
They understand they got that crowd moving behind them right now, don't they? And here's the risk. You do not execute this. Now you give Cameron Newton the football back deep in your own end. What a call in the first division game of the season for Dan Mullen.
So Ralph and company back to work. Chris Ralph Up top, it's too high and almost picked off by Zach Etheridge. Bumpus got a hand on it, but Etheridge, who is returning from a very serious neck injury a year ago, landed hard and a little bit slow to get up. It appears to be just a cramp. And they'll check on Zach Etheridge. Etheridge in the game against Ole Miss last year cracked a vertebra, the C5 vertebra, while making a tackle against the Rebels in a game against Auburn. He started 33 consecutive games before being hurt on this play. He also tore ligaments in his neck. And for a while, it was uncertain how much mobility Zach would have. And then once he regained the mobility, the question became, would he play football again? And for Etheridge, there was never a question. Now, the doctors told him nobody had ever had this type of injury and come back in 1 year. Here's Zach Etheridge is back on the football field in less than a year, making an impact, and thankfully great to see him running off. It appeared to be, from our vantage point, just a cramp. He is certainly a leader in that Auburn secondary, and Gene Chizik, Ted Roof both said it was absolutely chilling last week in Auburn when they announced his name in the starting lineup and the roar that he got from the Tiger faithful. Second down after the incomplete pass from Ralph. Chris going to throw it again, and this one is wide of the target. He was looking for Robert Elliott. Jen Brown, you a little bit more on Zach Etheridge's return.
Thanks. You guys were talking about his determination and his fire. And interestingly enough, I talked to the trainer, Clark Pearson, before the game about his rehab. And he said the most amazing thing was this guy's determination. He came in 3-4 times a day to go through all of the strength and flexibility to build up his neck muscles. And he said that is the reason why this guy is on the field, is his determination, which he's not really seen in a player that much.
Jen, he's certainly been an inspiration. Ralph bobbled the snap and got it out of there quickly and threw it low. The 3 errant passes after the recovery of the onside kick from Chris Ralph.
Well, here's a Mississippi State offense that has had a lot of success tonight running the football. You get a great call by Dan Mullen, get the onside kick, and you come out and you throw it 3 times. Man. And now you're punting the football right back.
Well, I tell you, that's one of those where, you know, it's maybe easy to second guess from up here, but they certainly didn't take advantage of a great opportunity.
You know, that Auburn defense had been on the field for 12 plays in the previous drive, and they give him a 3 and out. Good stand from the Tiger defense. Pressure coming from Auburn. Hutchins gets it out of there. When Darius Carr makes the fair catch, he muffed one earlier tonight to set up a state score. This one is secured. He'll put it in play on the 12. There's the Starkville landmark. Lil Dewey's the barbecue is hot, so's this game. Back in Starkville, Mississippi State back in the game. Second half touchdown. It's now 17-14. Auburn and the Bulldogs very aggressive in their approach, Craig.
And they had to be, right? I mean, this was a team that came out of the locker room down 17-7. The coaching adjustments in here. You had a guy up front, Nick Fairley, that was dominating the offensive line. So you go with a little misdirection. You do a little Tebow-esque work in the end zone there. Didn't work, but they come right back, Jesse. The coaches had to somehow slow down Auburn's defense.
The one word everybody associates with Dan Mullen here at Mississippi State is excitement. That's not just recruiting. It's not just getting the fans involved here, but it's the play calling as well.
Auburn's first snap from scrimmage in the second half. Over 7.5 minutes into the quarter. Ontario McCaleb hunts and picks his way. He picks up about 3. KJ Wright on the stop.
You know what now? You make a point there, Reese. First snap, so they've been sitting over there. Got to get back into rhythm. And that gives this defense a chance to pin their ears back.
No question. It's tough for a quarterback when you've been on the sidelines for almost 8 minutes. You got to come out, get going, get revved up.
The freshman Michael Dyer hasn't had many carries tonight. He gets across the 20-yard line. He'll be close to the first down, stopped by Emmanuel Gatling. We'll see exactly where they spot it. Where they're walking now will be a little short. Now they're moving it up. Malzahn wanting to go quickly. Officials trying to determine where to spot the ball. It'll be third and a very short one for Auburn.
but they haven't been quick and fast as they are known to be in this football game tonight.
Base tempo is supposed to be 2-minute drill, Craig, and we really haven't seen a lot of that. And now Newton is completely confused, and he has to use a timeout, or maybe it was McCaleb. The cowbells were ringing. Not supposed to do that, but they're waiting to snap. That's a no-no.
Fine.
The people from the conference are listening.
Bumped into a guy in the press box before the game. He said, my buddy brought his cowbell, over 50 years old, hadn't been to a game in 50 years, put fresh paint on it. Unique style there. Cowbell's glad to be welcomed back.
You know, we've talked about the cowbell. Here are the rules. Fans are allowed to use the cowbell when state scores, quarter breaks, timeouts, and halftime. Now, technically, for the last 36 years, they've been illegal in SEC stadiums. But if you've been to Starkville, you know the cowbells have been here. Maybe that one hasn't been. Jesse, you know for sure they've been here.
Yeah, I played and lost the game here in 2000. They're around.
3rd and 1 for the Tigers. I hear a few cowbells. So does Cam Newton, apparently. It's rocking down on Scott Field. Newton. Again, the first down. Big Cameron Newton plowing his way up to the 28-yard line. Chris White gets him down, but another conversion. His 6th first down rushing tonight.
It's just a different element that this Auburn offense now has with such a big quarterback. It's like having a bruising, short yardage goal line tailback in the backfield every snap.
An even bigger Tim Tebow. Their challenge is going to be at Auburn, how many times do you want to let this guy be hit?
The freshman Dyer has it. Dyer gets across the 30. Very nearly squirted through there. Let's check in with Jen Brown.
You guys were talking about the cowbells. I have to tell you, being down here, it is so loud. They just announced the attendance. There's 54,806 people. It's the 4th straight sellout. And I'm going to tell you, I think all 54,000 of those people have a cowbell because my ears will be ringing tonight.
Some of them have 2, Jen. 1 for each hand.
Well, that one guy had 3.
Newton. Oh, almost picked up and taken back. Auburn was trying to set up the screen, and Corey Broomfield, who was 2nd in the SEC with 6 interceptions last year, almost housed it.
This is called reading the play, knowing what's coming. Broomfield, an all-SEC freshman last year. Oh, right there to make the play.
It's a great job of route recognition and being aggressive. He beat his wide receiver to the football. If he's able to pluck that out of the air, that's a house call 6.
Now does Malzahn have a counter for him if he gambles too much? 3rd down again. Newton, plenty of time. Down the middle, Darvin Adams, who had a touchdown catch earlier, a first down. And Newton, after missing his previous 5, fires a dart for 18.
Mississippi State likes to bring pressure on 3rd down, but because Auburn's been able to handle it all night long, now they decide to lay back. They only bring 3. Look at all the time Cam Newton has to complete that.
The old game, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
Dyer's got it. Freshman. Picks up 1. He was the #1 running back in the country, according to the ESPNU 150.
He reminds me a lot of Maurice Jones-Drew from Jacksonville, Jaguars. You know what? He's 5'9", but he's 215 pounds. He's got short little legs, but he's a load to bring down. He just keeps that low center of gravity. Tough guy to tackle.
Hasn't had the ball a lot tonight, but the senior at Little Rock Christian, over 2,500 yards and 31 touchdowns a year ago. Second and 9, facing Newton and the Auburn offense. Newton, again, it's Adams with the catch. Adams working on Jonathan Banks.
You know, just watching Newton and how he's running this offense and the composure that he has, Gus Malzahn has done an unbelievable job of preparing him to execute the offense, and he's got the defense. The defense thinks they know what they're doing over there, but Malzahn has told Newton, we got an answer to everything they can bring.
Cam Newton is very dialed in. That was a great job on that play of the Bulldogs disguising their coverage. They rolled the safeties, but Newton knew immediately where he wanted to go and made an easy completion.
Another 3rd down. Auburn 5 for 9 and now 6 for 10 as Newton runs for another first down. Chris White hit him hard, but the big fella moves to change for the Tigers.
To show you what I'm talking about on that last play of coverage by Mississippi State, they try to roll the safeties. They try to confuse Cam Newton. You're going to get a roll. Safety up here, safety back here, and this corner is just going to drop off. Cam Newton immediately dissects the defense, and 1, 2, 3, ball comes out on time. That's an easy completion.
Newton's hit 9 of 15 on the night. And now a second timeout that Newton has to burn in the third quarter in a 3-point game. You never know when you might need those. A monster Saturday coming up on ESPN as we deliver 2 top-notch college football games at 3:30. Ja'Cory Harris and the Hurricanes going into the old horseshoe to take on Terrell Pryor at number 2 Ohio State. And then join Kirk Herbstreit, Brent Musburger, 7 o'clock Eastern. Big-time matchup, rife with history. Penn State and Alabama at 7 o'clock Eastern time. College football on ESPN available online, on your phone. Miami, Ohio State, an amazing 3D as well. We have it for the whole weekend for you. Marshall and West Virginia tomorrow night. Checking quickly with John Saunders now.
Well, Reese, we just want to update you that over on ESPN2, the U.S. Open quarters are underway. Rafael Nadal, the #1 seed, against Fernando Verdasco, having a bit of a tough time with him. Beat him 7-5 in the first set, now leading 3-2 in set number 2. Reese, back to you.
All right, John. Jesse, you're going to make your way out to Flushing Meadow, are you?
You know what? This week I went and saw Rafa Nadal play Gilles Simon. Very impressive 3-set, straight set victory.
Where was he in the recruiting rankings? Newton on the scramble. 5 times last week on called pass plays, Newton turned them into positive runs, and he did so again there.
You know, we're going to show you here, they don't contain nor do they pressure the quarterback Newton this time. So you've got him going back. Everybody falls to the middle of the field. And Newton, with his legs and his vision, Jesse, he's pretty decisive.
It's so hard, even if you do have him contained, just to tackle him with one body. If you don't get a couple hats around him, you're not going to bring him down.
Newton has run for 73 tonight. Mario Fannin has returned to the backfield for the Tigers. Fannin has it. Trying to bounce it outside. Mario's still on his feet, but he's going the wrong way. And there is a host of maroon to swallow him up. First guy there was Maurice Langston, and Michael Hunt wasn't far behind. A loss of 6.
Dan Mullen said he wants his defense, he wants his football team to be excited about playing, to get up with swagger, get jacked up after you make a play.
And he wants them to be fresh in this game. Right after that last snap, Mississippi State underwent a mass substitution. They completely changed and replaced the entire defensive line and a few linebackers. These guys are fresh right now.
Another 3rd down opportunity, but this one a long one for the Tigers. On this drive, Newton has run for a couple of first downs on 3rd and pass for another. Showed him a little eye candy. Cameron's in trouble. Jonathan Banks coming from the secondary. Andy Diaz dialed up a blitz. It worked, but there is a flag down. I think we're going to get an illegal shift on the Tigers.
Illegal shift on the offense. 2-men moving, failure to get set. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
In my opinion, the last 2 defensive plays, Mississippi State said, we're going to come at you hard. We're not going to worry about who you are. And they pinned their ears back, and they came.
And because they were fresh, they were able to play 100 miles an hour. You saw the speed differential right there on the sack.
Auburn getting set to punt it away. That's Diaz's calling card as a coordinator at Middle Tennessee last year. They were 2nd in the nation in tackles for loss and 6th in sacks. Tigers get it out of there quickly, and Shoemaker went down, but I believe it was his own man who cut his feet out from under in the fair catch from Bumpus at the 11. And Mississippi State will be 89 yards away after the 41-yard kick. Boy, this is a great way just to start a fantastic weekend of college football. And storylines, reigning national champions Alabama, just about 80 miles from here, will take on Joe Paterno and Penn State in a great quarterback battle between Ja'Cory Harris and Terrell Pryor.
I think Ja'Cory Harris has what it takes to go on the road and win. Denard Robinson, a great story going in, playing at Notre Dame and Kelly. It's a big game for Notre Dame and Michigan.
Tyler Russell has returned to quarterback for the Bulldogs. Darius Perkins, the fastest man on the team, is knocked down by El Toro Freeman. All of those games, part of Monster Saturday. I got a chance to talk to Brian Kelly this week, and he was talking about how he wanted his Fighting Irish team, when they have an opportunity, when they have a team down, as they did Purdue last week, step on the throat. See, both those teams really need to follow it up with 2-0, a great slate of games all across the country. Loss of 1 on the run by Perkins, so now Russell deep in his own territory. Easy pass to Bumpus. Bumpus got good speed and gets out close to the 20-yard line. I believe he's going to be about a yard short of the first down.
It's a difficult situation to come into as a freshman quarterback. Be backed up in your own end. You're down this game by 3. But Tyler Russell told us, and the coaching staff believes, that not starting a game for a young quarterback can help their confidence grow, because you get a chance to watch what the defense is doing on the sidelines. You can talk to your coaching staff about play calling. It allows you to kind of get into the ease of the game easier.
Russell tried the hard count. Auburn didn't bite. This is a 3rd one. Tigers trying to get off the field and get it back. Freeman up in there, and here he comes. Russell rolls away from pressure and fires incomplete. Bumpus couldn't quite haul it in, so it'll bring up 4th down for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, this is a really tough situation for Mississippi State, because they're running the ball so well, and then you get back and you take a shotgun snap. The receiver, Jesse, has to finish the play.
We'll say this, they're certainly running the football better than they're throwing it. Having said that, there have been times tonight we've seen a lot of wide open maroon jerseys around the field, and these quarterbacks have not been overly accurate.
But you would say that ball should have been caught.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Heath Hutchins back to point, punted away for Mississippi State. Probably saw Russell because of how inaccurate Ralph was in that drive immediately following the onside kick. A rugby look, and Hutchins booms one out of there. Drives Carr back inside his 30. Now Quindarius has a little running room, and it closes down just across the 35. 53-yard punt, 11-yard return for Quindarius Carr. Well, we've told you what a great weekend of college football it will be. BCS Bowl implications, national championship already. That's why we have the most significant regular season in all of sports. Ja'Cory Harris, Terrell Pryor, Miami and Ohio State, Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN.
All right, I'll take Miami for a moment. I'll let you go Ohio State. I think Miami, with the quality of depth, true depth that they have, will really impact this game, and especially with their special teams.
I'm excited to watch, see if Ohio State can protect Terrell Pryor.
Ontario McCaleb. McCaleb with a very short gain. Chris White on the stop as we head down toward a half minute to go in the 3rd quarter in Starkville. A lot of action in that 3rd quarter as Mississippi State pulling back into it, trailing the 21st ranked Tigers by 3. Reverse look. Newton still has it. He's going to run with it again. Newton, White. White chases him out of bounds, but it's another 1st down running for Cameron Newton.
You've got linemen. The right guard pulled and went to the left side. That means the linebackers are seeing one thing. I mean, there are so many folks moving around, Jesse, that defense.
It's all that eye candy that we talk about when you mention Gus Malzahn's offense. You need great eye discipline on defense to know where the football is and keep your keys.
If Newton gets the snap off, and he will not before the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll start the final period in Starkville. Auburn barely in state territory, trying to add to its lead. the fourth quarter in Starkville. Auburn on the road, clinging to a three-point lead, and the Tigers went down to rile up their faithful. In the corner of Davis Wade Stadium in Scott Field, a lot of orange and blue over there making noise, and Auburn trying to extend its lead. A 1st and 10 for the Tigers, just across the 50. Cameron Newton dumps it off underneath. Mario Fannin has it and has a first down, and he'll be knocked down at the state 35.
I love the decision by Cam Newton, not forcing a throw downfield into coverage, instead checking it down to his running back and allowing him to go get the yards.
And I'm not so certain that I like it when Mississippi State's defense only rushes 4 and gives Newton the time to check down.
Fannin had his first catch of the night. Now the give to Mario Fannin. He had a little bit of running room, but an excellent tackle by Charles Mitchell, the junior from Clarksdale, Mississippi. You know, last week both of these offenses were very explosive. Cameron Newton leading the way on the ground and through the air. He was 9 of 14 through the air, and the second best rushing performance by any Auburn quarterback ever with 171 yards. Tonight, he's run for 8 first downs, so hasn't broken the long run as he did against Arkansas State last week when he went for 71. Fannin has it. Flag comes down, but Mario Fannin's inside the 20 and inside the 10-yard line. We're going to see if it stands up. I don't think it's going to. It's going to be a hold. I believe they might have caught Darvin Adams, the receiver. It nullifies a 26-yard gain by Mario Fannin.
One thing, head coach.
Holding. Offense 77. 10-yard penalty for the previous spot. Still second down.
It was A.J. Green checked that rather than the receiver caught for the hold.
One thing head coach Gene Chizik told us is he wanted improvement from his football team in terms of penalties. Last year, 101st in the country, averaging 7.5 penalties a game. It's mistakes like this that nullify these big games, a chance to ice wins.
And the other thing that he made, that there were 2 points, penalties, and the other was consistency. And so, you know, at this point tonight, I think they've been pretty darn good. They're on the road in an SEC battle.
Now 2nd and 19. Cameron Newton getting pressure. Newton escapes. This is where he's dangerous. Wanted to load it up. Instead, he'll run out of bounds just inside the 40-yard line. Nick Bell chasing him away. And to bring up a point about the previous play, the hold, it is the lone new start on the offensive front, A.J. Green, who's called for it.
Yeah, you know what? He won the job in camp, and he's improving. But this right here is where you tell a defender, you've got to bring your legs and go through when you're trying to tackle a big body like Newton.
That was Pernell McPhee, the best defensive lineman State has. He put a great move on Green, but Newton made something out of nothing. And now he needs to convert another 3rd down. 3rd and 13, noise ramping up in Starkville. Play clock getting deep. Newton up top. Has his man, but out of bounds. It was Jay Wisner. We had an official who wound up on his keister, backside over tea kettle down in the end zone.
But he, you know what, though? He did a nice job getting up and making the call.
He stayed in the game. He's an official.
He is. You know what?
He's got the back pedal. I wonder. Oh, it was the pylon. How heavy are those pylons? Not very heavy.
A little bit more than you would think, though. Take your legs on the back pedal.
Apparently.
maybe not an elite athlete like you, but.
I think, yeah, that also is pushing it a little bit right there.
Everybody's okay. And a little chuckle because we care. And on the 4th down and 13.
Still 4th down.
Auburn going to give Ryan Shoemaker a little more room to work with as they try to pin State back deep in its own territory.
Gene Chizik has his staff back-to-back together. You know what? And that means so much to a football team and the growth of that ball club. You know, only 2 times in the last 9 years has that happened at Auburn.
It's the only staff in the SEC to return totally intact in year 2. Looking for a great improvement. The punt. Shoemaker gets it high, not very deep. And Bumpus has the opportunity. Check that Berry to make the catch after the 32-yard punt. State will have it back when you come back. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Auburn and Mississippi State. First game in conference play this year, and man, if it's setting the tone, it'll be a barn burner year again in the Southeastern Conference. 17-14, Tigers with the lead. Reese Davis, Craig James, Jesse Palmer, and Jen Brown. Happy to have you with us from Starkville tonight. Tyler Russell in at quarterback for Mississippi State. Russell, the better passer, going up top. Got a man out there and threw it a little bit short. Nico Thorpe was covering Arcito Clark.
Russell's pass incomplete, intended for 19.
Auburn has done a great job defensively, not allowing the big play. Last week, Mississippi State had 6 plays of over 20 yards. Tonight, their longest play is 22 yards.
Look at the right side of your screen, number 70, J.C. Brignoni on Mr. Fairley. We haven't called Fairley this half. That Mississippi State offensive line picked up the pace.
2nd and 10 for Russell. Quick pass. Not much running room at all for Brandon Heavens.
Guys, there's an example of that Auburn secondary finally getting off blocks and running to the football and gang tackling. We haven't seen them do it so far tonight. That's a great example right there.
So you know what I'd do? I'd pump it out there, and we've seen the blocker fake the block, run the wheel, and you're gone.
Mississippi State looking for something. Russell, 4 of 8, only 19 yards passing on the night. 3rd and 10. Pressure coming. In trouble in the end zone. Russell gets rid of it, and he was firing it out for Leon Berry. Fairley this time was applying some heat on the young redshirt freshman from Meridian, and Mississippi State goes 3 and out.
Tyler Russell is having a different kind of experience this week against an SEC defense. You see 3 white helmets in the backfield forcing Russell outside of the pocket. Welcome to the SEC, kid. It's not going to get any easier.
Well, Russell, they believe, has a bright future here. He was perhaps the most highly recruited quarterback ever to sign with Mississippi State. They also have Brett Favre's nephew, Dylan, on roster. They're very pleased with his progress as well. Right now, State looking for a good punt. Hutchins hits it out of there, and Auburn won't have a chance to return it, but the Tigers will take over with excellent field position just inside Mississippi State territory. 39-yard punt, Auburn up by 3.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. See what's new on Applebee's 2 for $20 menu. Classics you love and new flavors you'll crave. And in part by the new Ford Fiesta. It's a pretty big deal.
The pony and the quarterback have those quads barking under the watchful eye of Matt Bayless, the strength coach of Mississippi State. How are you holding up, man?
Well, I tell you, my legs are sore, but I can't feel them. My fanny, my quad. Hey, but it's cool because each week we're going to try to see what the character, the trademark workout is for each university.
And now the problem is every strength coach in the country that knows we're coming is going to try to wear us out.
First down. Cameron Newton again on the scramble. Being chased, throwing it back to Eric Smith, and Smith will have a first down. Football got loose. Might have been down. I think the officials are going to mark him down. Pick up.
There's a lot
about 13.
There's a lot about Cameron Newton that this Auburn coaching staff does not yet know about. How does he play with a 3-point lead late in games? Is he going to try to force things, or can he stay and play with composure? That time not forcing anything downfield, taking again the check down throw, keeping his team. I'm seeing a lot of poise here from Cameron Newton late in this game.
Newton running with it. Stopped after a short game. And guys, you get the feeling this could be a knockout punch drive for Auburn. Mississippi State struggled a little bit on offense, with the exception of that drive to open the half. A 2-score margin would be very difficult as we head toward 10 minutes.
Well, in this half, 2 drives prior to this one for a total of 70 yards. So Auburn's offense has been non-existent here in the second half. I'd do more quarterback draws. I'd keep putting it in the best players' hands out there. That'd be Cam Newton.
The 2nd down and 9. The junior college transfer. Newton feeling heat. Newton going down. Fletcher Cox. First man to get him for the Dogs. Cox, a sophomore from Yazoo City, Mississippi. Auburn loses 6 on the play.
There's defensive coordinator Manny Diaz's calling card, trying to create pressure, get guys free in the backfield. Cam Newton's been doing an outstanding job all night long, extending plays, but all of a sudden now, this excitement, a fresher defense for Mississippi State, able to corral Cam Newton.
Diaz wants his guys to play with excitement. He was looking for a stop on 3rd and 15. Blitz coming. Newton gets rid of it. There was a little contact there as he was looking for Cody Burns. Corey Broomfield on the coverage. I see no flags. It'll be 4th down, a stop for the Dog defense.
The 3rd time they've had the ball in the second half, and the same result, having to punt the football, and it's because Mississippi State has changed their look and the pressure.
He got away. He was there early.
I'm not so sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there early. Got away with interference as Burns went up to catch the football. Now Shoemaker tried to put State in bad field position. Bulldogs came after it. This one going to go into the end zone for a touchback. The State started its last drive on the 11. The 20 will be much better. Bulldogs try to get something going. Auburn trying to bow up when you come back. Auburn holding on to a 3-point lead on the road in Starkville. Opening night for SEC play on a Thursday night. Tigers up by 3 on the Bulldogs. Celebrating its 6th year of sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating university general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.1 million in scholarship money. Not many field goals in the second half, but plenty of punts. The last 6 possessions for both teams combined have resulted in punts. Both defenses doing excellent work. Chris Ralph has returned at quarterback for Mississippi State. A give on the option, and Vic Ballard plowing straight ahead.
Well, Mississippi State has started their last 2 drives inside their 20-yard line. They went 3 and out both times. Here they are again, starting deep in their own end. Auburn's not going to make it easy for them. If they're going to get back in this game, they're going to have to earn it and dry the field.
Mississippi State has been more effective with Chris Ralph at quarterback rather than Tyler Russell. Ralph more adept at running the option. And he is now. The pitch. Bumpus has some room. Chad Bumpus up close to the 40-yard line before he steps out of bounds. They'll mark him out at the 37, but it's enough for a first down.
I announced Navy in Maryland last week. This is a little bit like the old Navy option here, Jesse. You got the little slots for your pitchbacks. Looks like Georgia Tech, too, doesn't it?
And I love the look, Craig, on offense, getting their wide receiver, Chad Bumpus, that speed in the backfield to be that perimeter threat.
Same look. Ralph keeps it himself.
There you go, Dan Mullen again. Les Koenig, offensive coordinator, working, creating opportunities, trying to get away from the power of Auburn's inside defense.
I will say this, State doesn't take a lot of snaps under center, and we did see Ralph fumble one earlier. Just something to keep an eye on. Make sure those center quarterback exchanges are good and problematic in college football. Now in the gun. Ballard is the running back. He gives to the fullback, Hanrahan. Hanrahan's had his hands on the ball several times tonight. During fall camp, he told some reporters there are more plays for me this year. He said they're going to throw it to me in the flat and give it to me. When Dan Mullen was asked about it, he said he wishes, but tonight he's been effective. He made a nice catch on a 3rd down. He's carried the ball a few times, 3 carries for 21 yards, mostly out of that option look.
Last 3rd and short we saw, Mississippi State receiver dropped the ball, didn't he? Got to finish the plays.
Big 3rd down for both sides. Shovel pass. This time Josh Bynes makes sure that goes nowhere. Brandon Henderson got it, but Bynes, Auburn had been fooled earlier on that play, but not this time.
Absolutely. This is how you have defensive players doing their job, making their play. Josh Bynes knows his responsibility, takes care of it.
Guys just staying at home, watching the football, not over pursuing the football like they had on the previous play where they got burned. And now they'll get an opportunity to get the football back. About 6.5 to go.
Bynes the leader on that defense, and he makes as big a play as Auburn has had in the second half. State kicks it away. Carr, who muffed one earlier, runs in, makes the catch, and the Tigers will have it back. They've punted all 3 times. They could stand to eat up some clock for Gene Chizik.
Time now for our AT&T All-America Player of the Week. It's Denard Robinson, quarterback out of Michigan. 186 yards passing, 197 yards on the ground in a win over UConn. Don't forget, you can get involved by texting the word VOTE to 345-345 and have a chance to win a trip to the national championship game.
All right, John, Denard Robinson was sensational last week. Very similar numbers put up by Auburn's Cameron Newton against Arkansas State. And tonight, Newton has run for 73 yards, thrown a couple of touchdown passes, and now has a 3-point lead in the ball. 6.5 to go. Michael Dyer. Dyer still on his feet. Michael Dyer, his best run of the night, out close to the 40-yard line. Let's check in with Jen Brown on Auburn's other running back, Mario Fannin.
Well, unfortunately, it's sad to say that Auburn is going to have to try to put something together on offense without senior running back Mario Fannin. He will be out of the game with a left shoulder injury. Now, they will not tell me the severity of it, but I did stand on the sideline and watch several trainers working on him in what looked like they were attempting to pop his shoulder back in. At one point, they did pull, and he was able to move his arm. He is out of pads, and he's icing his shoulder right now.
Fannin has been a do-everything back for Malzahn, Jen. Hope that's not serious. Dyer had a big run on the last play, and he's got loose again. He is up to the 50-yard line. It'll be good for another first down. He's stopped by Nico Whitley. We said Malzahn needed to run some time off the clock. A good way to do it. Successive runs of 16 and 11 by Dyer.
And that's to the left side. Lee Zimba's gone. Brandon Mosley doing his job. Very smart non-block by the wide receiver Darwin Adams.
I'll say this, 19 of the 22 starters in offense or defense for Auburn are juniors or seniors. This is a very veteran group. Veteran teams are expected to know how to close games out late when you have the lead. Let's see if they can get that done now.
1st and 10. Keep it on the ground with Dyer. Freshman gets it into Mississippi State territory. Another tackle by Chris White.
Well, and you, on the other side of the ball, you've got to have experience as well to hopefully counter the experience of Auburn. And Dan Mullen, he's got a lot of young players on his football team, you know, that just have not been out there enough. A lot of first-timers.
On the flip side, Dan Mullen told us he only has 11 seniors on his 3 deep.
Yes.
So totally different dynamics here for both of these teams.
Derek Smith going in motion for the Tigers. Cody Burns can throw it. It's a backward pass, and he will. Back to Newton. It's up there a long time and a great block. And Newton's got a bunch of room to run. Big Cameron Newton rumbling down to the 25-yard line. The center, Ryan Pugh, came out and just annihilated the only guy who had a chance to stop Newton earlier.
You got to watch the left side of the line. See them fall down with their cut blocks. They've fallen down. They've sold it. And then the ball throw. Oh, that hurts.
Jonathan McKenzie, the defensive end, never thought this ball was getting thrown back to Cameron Newton. He pays the price for it. How about Gus Malzahn? He throws a reverse pass last week with his third-string quarterback, Neil Caudle. And then tonight, with the game on the line, he goes to the double pass. And now Auburn knocking on the door again.
Dyer in the backfield. Michael Dyer has it. He is inside the 20-yard line, and the Tigers starting to assert their will.
One of the things head coach Gene Chizik said he loves about Michael Dyer is that he protects the football. He's got great ball security, Craig, and as a running back, In this type of situation, that's got to be the most important thing.
And the coaches have followed that. They know that trend. They understand it. They appreciate that from the spring and then in the fall camp. So that's why he's in the ball game. You know that you can depend on him not putting it on the ground.
Auburn bleeding that clock. Inside 3.5 minutes to go. Well within West Byram's field goal range, but what the Tigers would like to do is apply the knockout punch with a touchdown. Here comes the blitz. Dyer keeping those legs churning. It'll bring up a 3rd down. Emmanuel Gatling, who's had a good night on defense for Manny Diaz's club, makes the stop.
But Mississippi State's offense just couldn't take advantage of the lack of offense of Auburn in this second half. You know, they just never did anything with it.
Well, they'd recovered an onside kick that was really all for naught. They went 3 and out and were forced to punt the football back. Manny Diaz's unit right now on defense for Mississippi State needs a huge stop. They have to have it now or this is ball game.
3rd and 1. Auburn 6 of 13 on 3rd down tonight. Here comes the pressure. Newton hitting the backfield. He won't get it. Pernell McPhee messed up the play, and now Gene Chizik will almost certainly send the field goal unit out.
You talk about pressure coming, but responsibility as well. Watch over here. Watch the responsible action of McPhee. Staying over there, not leaving and running inside.
He's a veteran presence on that defensive line. He's a leader of that defense, letting his play speak for him.
Well, we got a great one on Thursday night, but we're not far away from the start of Monday Night Football. It kicks off with a doubleheader, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Ray Lewis and the Ravens taking on Mark Sanchez and the Jets. The Jets just went away from the Super Bowl a year ago. That'll be followed by the Chargers and Chiefs. Phillip Rivers leading that high-powered offense against Matt Castle in Kansas City. Monday Night Football on ESPN Monday. The revelry going on. Cowbells rocking. It's an appropriate time to ring them right now. Mississippi State's defense just came up with a huge 3rd down stop, and now, in all likelihood, West Byram will come on to attempt a 38-yard field goal. He's been a tremendous pressure kicker in his career. 3 game winners, and he's hit his last 9 attempts. Almost certainly will become Auburn's all-time leading scorer by the end of the season. They'll call this one 37 exactly. Byram 1 for 1 on the night. It's blocked. A huge stand for the maroon and white.
We've seen the push tonight coming from Auburn's defense on the inside. This one on the field goal block, the pressure right up the middle, Jesse.
The special teams for Mississippi State has come up huge tonight. Whether it's been recovering a muff punt, led to 7 points, recovering an onside kick, the push they get up the middle, able to get their hands on the football, now down only 3 points.
We believe it was Fletcher Cox who got a hand on it for the Bullies, but now they've got to get something going on offense. Auburn clinging to a 3-point lead. Chris Ralph at quarterback. First pass is complete, but a short game. Quick tackle by Nico Thorpe on the catch by Arcido Clock. Clock is winding toward 2 minutes. State with only 1 timeout. Losing a lot of time. Crowd getting a little anxious. Ralph standing and delivering, and he throws it short. He had his man out there again. It was Leon Berry, and we've seen Ralph do this several times tonight.
And it hasn't just been Ralph. Tyler Russell is as guilty. There have been opportunities downfield to make plays in the passing game for Mississippi State, and you have to capitalize. These are tight windows. Playing these SEC defenses, you have to capitalize to stay in game.
3rd and 4, it's 4-down territory at this juncture in the game. Ralph stands in, fires high, it's incomplete, it'll be 4th down.
Well, and you know what? Ted Roof decided, defensive coordinator, to go man-to-man, rush 4, and man up. When you get man-to-man and you've got pass protection, you have to win your route and make the play.
And he does. Brandon Heavens wide open over the middle of the football field. You get the route you want against the coverage, like you said, Craig. You got to hit it. Now we got a big 4th down.
Well, this is the game for Mississippi State. Chance to stay in it here. 4th and 4. Auburn by 3. Ralph on the go route. Got him. First down. Arcino Clark. 93 seconds left. First down, State.
Auburn again defensively, giving them bump and run at the line of scrimmage. It's up to Arcino Clark to win. He gets a clean release. Ball a bit underthrown, but he beat him so bad off the line, he was able to come back and make the catch.
Fresh set of downs. Bynes showing pressure. He drops out. Bumpus. A tremendous tackle by Zach Etheridge, the senior from Troy, Alabama. Clock still winding.
Again, keep in mind that this is plenty of time to get this thing done. You're working at a minimum to get down to field goal range.
With the timeout to play with.
2nd and 9. Chris Ralph can't take a sack here, but he does. And now Mullen's going to use the timeout. Jesse, you sort of threw your arms into the air. It can't afford it.
No, you really can't. And Auburn right now has decided to challenge Mississippi State at the line of scrimmage on the perimeter of the football field. Bump and run. And they're going to rush 4 guys, but the quarterback's got to know you cannot take sacks in 2-minute offense.
And I'll give you guys a guess who I just circled there. Who is that?
Oh,
Who
90.
is that?
Nick Fairley.
90. Fairley is the guy. He was quiet in the 3rd quarter, but if you continue to give him a chance, he's going to get to you. He's got a high motor. You better plant your foot and get rid of it underneath 3 seconds or you're in trouble.
Boy, what a great start we've had to the monster weekend of college football. Monster Saturday. Kicks off from the quad at the University of Alabama in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium. ESPN's College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, every Saturday starting at a new time, 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU. Aaron Andrews joins the crew for that. Then at 10 o'clock Eastern time, Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard. Full couple of hours, news and happenings in college football. They'll have it all for you on a monster Saturday. We got a pretty monster Thursday going. 52 seconds left. Mississippi State with a 3rd and 14. Rallying down 3 against Auburn. Chris Ralph throwing up, looking for Clark again. Arcino had his hands on it, couldn't hold it, and the flags are flying, and this could be a huge penalty against the Tigers.
Pass interference. Defense, number 22. Penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
So Sharvin Bell gets caught for it.
Arcino Clark was a defensive back. I like the way he goes to the football and makes the adjustment, which causes the pass interference.
Arcino Bell is just so quick off the line of scrimmage. That's twice on this drive. He's won it and been behind the defender. A better throw here by Chris Ralph. That might be 6.
But, you know, it should have been called on Nico Thorpe 15. Bell wasn't in the play. That was the number they gave, but the corner, Nico Thorpe, was the one who was nabbed. So now with 45 seconds, it's a 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs just outside the Auburn 40. Ralph comes out of there. They'll call it an incomplete pass. It was Josh Bynes applying the pressure. 41 seconds left. Mississippi State probably needs to get at least to the 30-yard line to give Sean Broccoli a legitimate chance.
That was the first time we've seen Auburn's defense bring 5. That linebacker at the snap came clean. They'd lulled Mississippi State's line to thinking it was just going to be a 4-man rush.
Broccoli's career long as a field goal kicker is 49, but State is still thinking touchdown now. 2nd and 10. Ralph has time, has his man out there. Oh, and he dropped the football. Leon Berry had it right in his hands, well within field goal range, and he dropped it.
Leon Berry has been working on his lean with the defensive back to give himself room to make the catch. He's their most dependable receiver. Got to finish it.
It's another throw you think would be best serve that the quarterback gets it out front. Here's an example, though. That back shoulder throw is the best possible throw in that scenario. Relf does a great job putting it on the back number. Just have to come up with the catch. Big-time play. Here we are, 3rd and long.
Watch that linebacker coming again. I bet they come with 5.
Relf, they pick up Bynes. Relf throwing it to the outside, and he was looking for Heavens, and he was out of bounds. Demond Washington on the coverage, so Mississippi State, who converted a 4th down to stay alive earlier in this drive, faced with a 4th and 10. Mullen is out of Brockley's field goal range. You can't reach for a long one. It would be about 58 from here. Career long is 49, so with 27 seconds left, he's got to pick up 10.
And Auburn's played only 1 coverage this entire drive. It's been man-to-man. Certainly that's what Mississippi State is expecting right here. They'll try to dial up a man-to-man beater.
Play clock's getting deep. No timeouts for State. They get it off. Relf again to the outside, and a miscommunication on the coverage, and Auburn's defense makes the stand.
We talked about Dan Mullen having a very young team. With the game on the line, we saw a lot of inconsistency. There was a drop pass, a busted route.
When you get a chance, don't you? You've got to take advantage of it. You have to finish plays. I thought the offensive line did their job, providing some time, some opportunity for throwing the ball down the field by Relf, but Auburn's defense bent, didn't break.
They stood up. Bynes made a huge play. They applied pressure when they needed to, and they were called for the pass interference penalty that really set State up after that. 4 incompletions. Auburn's defense rising up, and maybe the offense didn't do what it had hoped in the second half. But in the SEC, any win on the road is a pretty one, and Cameron Newton comes into Starkville, the place where he almost called home, and he's going to walk out with a victory, and he is our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. Cameron Newton, 136 yards through the air, a couple of touchdowns, and more importantly, 70 rushing yards.
Didn't have the numbers he had last week in his opener against Arkansas State, but I'd argue he was probably just as effective and still dominant in this football game.
And you know what? And it was against an SEC opponent, a good team that's getting a lot better on the road in front of a hostile environment. The Cowbells were out tonight, so I'm with you, Jesse. I think he had a numbers-wise not there. 9 carries, 11 yards in the second half, but he didn't make mistakes.
And he converted on 3rd down with his legs. It seemed as if almost every time he ran, he didn't break those big gainers that Manny Diaz wanted to avoid against, but he kept moving the chains.
I think poise would be the thing I was most impressed about with Cameron Newton tonight. Again, he had a lead, but it wasn't a big lead. And it's easy for a quarterback that's experienced success early in his career here at Auburn to want to make every play late in the game, but he didn't force things. He didn't have any ball security issues late in this football game. He played smart. He allowed his defense to go out and do what they do, and Auburn has the winner, 2-0.
Nick Fairley was outstanding for Ted Roof's defense, too. He was the dominant defensive player in this game.
And you know what? Now Auburn has a 2-game advantage on Mississippi State in the West. Gene Chizik's football team off to a good start.
Hey, this schedule really sets up well for Auburn. It's one of the reasons that several, including our Kirk Herbstreit, believes Auburn will win the SEC West.
You got a home game against Clemson, home game against a ranked South Carolina team, home game against ranked Arkansas, home game against ranked LSU. You got Georgia at home. Tell you what, that last game tough on the road at Alabama, but you're right, this schedule sets up well. That there's a lot to look forward to. There are positives. Starting 2-0, they get on the right foot.
Jen Brown is with Gene Chizik.
Thanks, Coach. First, I got to ask you, what's going through your mind as Mississippi State's driving down on that last drive?
Well, you know, we said before we left the hotel, this game's going to come down to the end. Somebody's going to have to make a play, and that's exactly what happened, and that's no surprise to us.
Well, your defense held them there, and they held them to 14 points this entire game. What made them so effective against this offense?
I'm going to tell you, they were ready to play. They were focused all week. It was a challenge that they were ready for. I couldn't be more proud of our defense, our whole football team. This is a tough place to come and play and win, and I feel very blessed.
Now on offense, Cam Newton, great, versatile player. We saw him throw, we saw him catch, heck, we even saw him catch a pass. What makes him so tough to defend?
Well, first of all, he's very humble, and he understands right now, you know, what it takes to win. He wants to be really good at what he does. He's going to keep working every day. He brings a lot of threats to the table. He just needs to stay humble and keep working. He's going to be a really good football player.
Thanks, Coach. Cam,
God bless.
Great job tonight. What is it about you that makes you so difficult to defend?
I'm just blessed to be in this situation. You know, the coaches put so much on me, and I put so much on myself. But, you know, I couldn't do nothing without the linemen and all those guys, the supporting cast around me. You know, a lot of guys took the pressure off me tonight with Darvin Adams and, you know, the freshmen stepping in. So, you know, we just came out here, and Coach said, how will we respond to adversity? And we surely had adversity tonight.
Well, you definitely responded well. Describe for me the emotions of coming back here, playing at Mississippi State, at a team where people thought at one point you'd be playing here this year.
You know, I mean, it was hard at one point. You know, I wish Coach Mullen the best. And me and him will always have a close relationship and a close bondship. You know, with him and his wife and his little son, you know, I care about those guys, and they will always have a place in my heart.
All right, Cam, good job. Thanks so much. Guys?
Cameron Newton showing the great maturity and getting a great road win. The frustration on the face of Leon Berry, the fine receiver who couldn't hold the pass. He would have given State the ball inside the 20-yard line. Auburn wins at 17-14. Coming up next is Sports Center. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Craig James, Jesse Palmer, Jen Brown, and our entire fine Thursday night college football crew, I'm Reese Davis saying good night from Starkville. Auburn gets an SEC win, 17-14.